The scent of rosemary and garlic filled the kitchen as I stirred the sauce. Letting muscle memory guide my movements while straining to hear the hushed voices drifting from the study. 20 years of marriage had taught me the difference between private conversations and secrets. This was definitely the latter. "We can't keep putting this off, Richard." Evelyn's voice carried that sugary tone she used when manipulating my husband. "Your father's getting worse, and someone needs to take care of Henry full-time. I'm Samantha, and until that moment, I thought I knew my place in this family." "What about the company?" Richard's whisper held more concern than I'd heard him express for his grandfather in months. "We can't just. That's exactly why we need to act now. Samantha can handle Henry. She's always been good with that sort of thing." The wooden spoon slipped from my fingers, clattering against the pot. The sauce splattered across my cream blouse, but I barely noticed. My hands gripped the counter as their words sank in. "She won't like being left out of the decision," Richard said. Evelyn's laugh felt like ice down my spine. "Since when has that mattered? Besides, she'll be too busy with Henry to cause problems. It's perfect." I switched off the stove, my movements mechanical. The perfect family dinner I'd planned suddenly seemed absurd. 20 years of playing the dutiful wife and daughter-in-law, and they were discussing my future like I was one of the housekeepers. "When do we tell her?" Richard asked. "Don't worry about that. I'll handle everything. You just focus on the transition at work. We need you fully committed now that your father's stepping back." My fingers found my phone, opening the camera app. I hit record just as Richard stepped into view through the crack in the door. "And Henry? He's still sharp enough to notice." "Please," Evelyn cut in. "He's 92 and bedridden. By the time he realizes what's happening, everything will be settled." I stopped recording, my hand trembling. The front door opened, and I heard Max and Lily returning from school. Their laughter echoed through the house, oblivious to how their world was about to change. The study door creaked open. I turned back to the stove, stirring the ruined sauce with steady determination. Let them think I was just the dutiful caretaker. Let them believe I would quietly accept their plans. They had no idea what I was capable of. And by the time they figured it out, it would be far too late. "Mom?" Lily called from the hallway. "Something's burning." I smiled, already plotting my next move. "Don't worry, sweetheart. I'm just making some changes to the recipe." 3 days had passed since I'd overheard their plan, and Evelyn's saccharine smile hadn't wavered once. She floated through Henry's morning routine like a practiced performer, adjusting his pillows with theatrical care while I changed his foredrip. "You're hovering again, Samantha dear," she said, not looking up from her task. "I've been caring for this family longer than you've been alive. 20 years is hardly nothing." I checked Henry's vitals, noting them in the log I'd started keeping. "And I notice you're here more often lately." Henry's eyes flickered between us, alert despite his stillness. I'd caught those sharp glances more than once, measuring, assessing. "Natural, isn't it? With Caleb stepping back from the company, we all need to adjust our priorities." She straightened, smoothing her silk blouse. "Speaking of which, Richard mentioned you've been asking questions about the board meetings. Shouldn't I? I am head of operations. For now." The words slipped out soft as a snake through grass. She caught herself, plastering on that familiar smile. "I only meant that with all these changes, perhaps it's best to focus on what you do best. Taking care of people." My phone buzzed, a message from Max. "Mom, found those files you asked for. Dad's office clear for next hour." I tucked the phone away, matching Evelyn's smile. "You're right. We all have our talents." "Wonderful. Then you won't mind handling Henry's afternoon medications?" "Richard and I have that strategy meeting with the board. The one that wasn't on the calendar." Her smile tightened. "Last-minute changes. You understand." Perfectly. I gathered my things, pausing at the door. Oh, Evelyn. You might want to check the dosage on Henry's chart. Wouldn't want any mistakes. The flash of uncertainty in her eyes was worth every second of the past 3 days' research. She hurried to the medical chart while I slipped out, already heading for Richard's office. Max met me at the stairs, laptop in hand. Found something weird in those quarterly reports, Mom. The numbers don't match what's being reported to the board. Show me. We huddled over the screen, my son pointing out discrepancies that made my blood run cold. Not just negligence, deliberate manipulation of figures, all traced back to Evelyn's private account. Does Dad know? Max's voice cracked slightly. I squeezed his shoulder, remembering the conversation I'd recorded. He's about to. But first, we need to make a copy of everything. And Max? Not a word to your sister yet. Let me handle this my way. Like you handled Henry's medication chart. I smiled. Exactly. Sometimes the best way to expose a snake is to make it think it's cornered a mouse. The night shift nurse had just left when Henry's hand caught my wrist. His grip was surprisingly strong for someone supposedly frail. They think I'm senile, he said, voice clear as crystal. Let them. My heart nearly stopped. After weeks of blank stares and mumbled responses, this lucidity felt like a thunderbolt. How long have you been pretending? Long enough to watch my own son plot to dismantle everything I built. He released my wrist, eyes sharp as steel. Did you really think Evelyn could manage my medications without killing me? I sank into the chair beside his bed. I've been adjusting the doses she tries to change. I know. A thin smile crossed his face. Just like I know about the offshore accounts. Richard's not half as clever as he thinks he is. The monitor beeped steadily in the darkness. Outside, a security guard made his rounds, flashlight beam sweeping past the window. Why are you telling me this now? Because you're the only one who bothered to check the real numbers. He shifted, reaching beneath his pillow. Here. The combination to my private safe. The one even Caleb doesn't know about. My fingers trembled as I took the paper. They'll notice if documents go missing. They never notice what's right in front of them. That's why they underestimate you. His voice hardened. Like they underestimated my wife before she died. Evelyn made sure she spent her last years thinking she was losing her mind. The pieces clicked into place, the familiar pattern, the careful manipulation. That's why you've been watching. Waiting. Testing. He gripped my hand again. They're planning to vote you out at next week's board meeting. But they don't know about the trust agreement. The one that gives controlling interest to whoever holds my medical power of attorney. My breath caught. Which Evelyn thinks she has. Check the safe. The real document is there, dated last month. His eyes glittered. Along with 40 years of evidence I've collected. Every scheme, every betrayal, every manipulation. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, the distinctive click of Evelyn's heels. Remember, Henry whispered, slipping back into his vacant expression. Let them think they're winning. I was adjusting his blanket when Evelyn swept in, all concern and efficiency. Still here, Samantha. You should rest. Tomorrow's board meeting prep will be challenging. Of course. I gathered my things, catching Henry's barely perceptible wink. I wouldn't want to miss it. Walking out, I felt the weight of the safe combination in my pocket, and for the first time in weeks, I smiled. They thought they were orchestrating a takeover. They had no idea they were walking into their own trap. The divorce papers sat in my briefcase like a loaded gun while I watched Richard across the breakfast table, typing away on his phone. 20 years of marriage reduced to 30 pages of legal terminology. Max called, I said, stirring my untouched coffee. He's staying at college this weekend. Richard barely looked up. Good. He needs to focus on his studies, not all this family drama. Drama? The word tasted bitter. Is that what you call abandoning your grandfather? Don't start, Sam. He finally set his phone down. The board meeting's tomorrow, and I need to present the restructuring plan. The one that cuts my department's budget by 60%? His face flickered, surprise, then calculation. How did you? The same way I found out about Evelyn's private account. I pulled out my tablet, sliding it across the table. Care to explain these transfers? The color drained from his face as he scrolled through the documents. Where did you get these? Does it matter? What matters is what I'm going to do with them. You wouldn't dare. But his hand trembled slightly as he pushed the tablet back. Think about the children. I am. I stood, grabbing my briefcase. That's why I've already spoken to them. What? Lily's waiting in the car. We're moving into the guest house near Henry. I pulled out the divorce papers. Your lawyer can contact mine about the rest. He lunged for the papers, but I stepped back. You're making a mistake. Mother was right, you've always been too emotional for business. No, Richard. I was just smart enough to play the loving wife while you and Evelyn played your games. I headed for the door. By the way, Henry sends his regards. Henry? His laugh was sharp, desperate. He doesn't even know what day it is. Really? Ask him about your grandmother sometime. About how Evelyn handled her care. I paused at the threshold. Or better yet, ask him about the real power of attorney documents. What are you talking about? You'll find out at tomorrow's board meeting. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Don't worry, I'll make sure there's a place for you in the company. After all, that's what family does, right? His face contorted with rage, but before he could respond, I closed the door. Lily was waiting in the car, her face anxious but determined. Did he sign? He will. I started the engine. When he realizes what's coming, he'll sign anything we put in front of him. Good. She squeezed my hand. Grandpa Henry's waiting for us. We drove away from the house I'd called home for 2 decades, but I didn't look back. The real battle was still ahead, and this time, I had something Richard and Evelyn never expected, the truth. Henry's private safe yielded more than just documents, it revealed a lifetime of calculated betrayal. I spread the papers across his study floor, piecing together decades of manipulation while the morning sun crept through the windows. They're calling an emergency board meeting, Max said, entering with his laptop. Tomorrow morning. I checked my watch. 18 hours ahead of schedule. Evelyn's getting nervous. She should be. Max turned his screen toward me. Look what else I found in the company servers. The timestamp on the security footage showed last night, Richard and Evelyn in Henry's room while he slept. Replacing his medication with what looked like identical bottles. My hands clenched. Send that to our lawyer. Now. Already did. He hesitated. Mom, there's something else. Dad's trying to get Lily to move back home. He told her you're having a breakdown. The family photos on Henry's desk caught my eye, for generations of calculated smiles hiding ugly truths. What did she say? Nothing. She recorded the whole conversation and sent it to me. Pride mixed with sadness. My children shouldn't have to play these games. Henry's nurse appeared in the doorway. Mrs. Mitchell. He's asking for you. I found Henry sitting up, more alert than I'd seen him in weeks. They've moved up their timeline. Yes. I settled into the chair beside him. But we're ready. Are you? His eyes fixed on mine. Because what happens next will destroy this family. They destroyed it themselves. Perhaps. He reached for a folder on his nightstand. But revenge has a price. Your grandmother-in-law paid it with her sanity. Are you prepared to pay yours? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed, Evelyn's number. Put it on speaker, Henry said. Her voice filled the room, honey-sweet with concern. Samantha, darling, we're worried about you. Richard says you're making wild accusations. Let's talk about this over dinner tonight. Just family. I met Henry's gaze. He nodded slightly. Of course, Evelyn. Should I bring the children? Oh no, dear. Let's keep this between adults. 8 o'clock. Perfect. I ended the call, turning to Henry. They'll try to have me committed. Like they did to your wife. Yes. He pulled another document from the folder, a psychiatric evaluation dated 20 years ago. But unlike her, you have proof. And unlike her, you won't be facing them alone. I gathered the papers, my decision crystallizing. I'll need access to the offshore accounts. All of them. Already done. He pressed a key into my hand. Safety deposit box at First National. Everything you need is there. And everything they fear. His smile was razor sharp. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's forcing them to live with the consequences of their choices. I stood, straightening my jacket. 8 o'clock, then. Samantha. His voice stopped me at the door. Remember, they're expecting a grieving wife. Give them a warrior instead. 8 o'clock arrived with the precision of an executioner's clock. I sat at the head of the dining table, Henry's place, while Richard and Evelyn exchanged glances across their untouched meals. Caleb's empty chair screamed his conspicuous absence. The board members are quite concerned, Evelyn said, dabbing her lips with a napkin. Especially after those unfortunate emails you sent. Unfortunate? I took a sip of water. I thought they were quite illuminating. Particularly the parts about Grandmother Mitchell's final days. Richard's fork clattered against his plate. Sam, you're not well. We've arranged for Dr. Stevens. I pulled out my phone, playing the security footage. The same doctor who falsified your grandmother's psychological evaluation. The color drained from Evelyn's face as she watched herself switching Henry's medications. Where did you? The same place I found these. I spread the offshore account documents across the table. 20 years of systematic theft, all funneled through shell companies. The board will find it fascinating. You wouldn't dare. Richard stood, his chair scraping back. Think about what this would do to the family name. Family? I laughed, the sound harsh even to my ears. Like what you did to Henry's wife? Or what you're planning to do to him? Evelyn's mask cracked. Everything we did was for the good of this family. You're just too emotional to. The dining room doors burst open. 2 police officers entered, followed by Caleb. I'm sorry, Samantha, he said, not meeting my eyes. But this is for your own good. Dr. Stevens appeared behind them, commitment papers in hand. Mrs. Mitchell, please remain calm. Your family is very worried about your mental state. My heart hammered, but I kept my voice steady. Perfect timing. Officers, I'd like to report attempted murder. I nodded to the documents. And 2 decades of financial fraud. She's delusional, Evelyn cut in smoothly. Dr. Stevens can confirm. Actually, a new voice said, he can't. Henry wheeled himself in, followed by Max and Lily. My children carried boxes of files, copies of everything we'd found. Grandfather? Richard stumbled back. You're supposed to be sedated? Confused? Like your grandmother? Henry's voice could have cut steel. The board meeting tomorrow will be interesting. Especially since I've called in the SEC to audit those offshore accounts. The officers stepped forward, not toward me, but toward Richard and Evelyn. This isn't possible, Evelyn whispered. We had everything planned. Yes, I said, standing. You did. But you forgot one thing. What's that? Richard demanded. You taught me too well. All those years of watching you destroy people. I learned. And unlike you, I kept receipts. The handcuffs clicked shut, echoing like victory bells in the suddenly silent room. The boardroom fell silent as Richard entered, his suit pristine despite spending the night in custody. His lawyer had worked miracles with the bail hearing, but nothing could hide the desperation in his eyes when he saw me at Henry's right hand. This meeting is irregular, his attorney announced. My client remains the legal CEO. Actually, Henry cut in, sliding a document across the polished table, he doesn't. The power of attorney papers landed between them like a gauntlet. Richard's hands shook as he read. This is impossible. The date is correct, I said. While you were planning my commitment, Henry was planning something else. The board members murmured, examining their copies of the financial records. 20 years of theft laid bare in pristine spreadsheets. It's not what you think, Richard turned to the board. Samantha's emotional manipulation of my grandfather. That's enough. Henry's voice cracked like a whip. Show them, Samantha. I played the security footage on the boardroom screen. Richard and Evelyn in Henry's room, switching medications. Their whispered conversations about commitment papers. The offshore transfers. A misunderstanding, Richard's voice cracked. I can explain everything. Like you explained Grandmother Mitchell's death. Max stepped forward, holding more files. Or how about explaining these? My son spread out documents showing decades of systematic exploitation, not just of the company, but of every family member who'd stood in their way. Richard's facade crumbled. You don't understand what it's like, the pressure, the expectations. I understand perfectly. I stood, facing the board. That's why as of this morning, with Henry's support, I'm implementing a complete audit and restructuring. You can't, Richard lunged forward, but security blocked his path. This is my company. No, Henry said quietly. It's hers now. The board has already voted. Richard turned to me, his expression shifting to something I'd seen before, the charming husband, the apologetic partner. Sam, please. We can work this out. For the children. The children? Lily's voice rang from the doorway. You mean the ones you were ready to use as pawns? She walked in, followed by Caleb, who couldn't meet his son's eyes. It's over, Richard, I said. The SEC has everything. The only question is whether you'll face the consequences with dignity or make it worse. You'll regret this, he snarled, mask finally dropping completely. You have no idea what it takes to run this company. Actually, Henry smiled, she's the only one who does. Why do you think I've been testing her all these years? Security led Richard out as the board began their formal vote. I watched him go, feeling not triumph, but a quiet certainty. Some victories aren't about winning, they're about surviving long enough to reclaim what was always yours. The autumn wind scattered leaves across Henry's grave as I placed fresh flowers beside the headstone. His final letter lay in my pocket, worn from countless readings, but I didn't need to take it out anymore. Every word was etched in my memory. Mom. Lily appeared beside me, holding a stack of papers. The board approved the scholarship foundation. The first grants go out next month. I traced Henry's name on the stone. For women escaping family abuse. He would have liked that. Grandmother Mitchell's legacy fund, Max added, joining us. Has a nice ring to it. The company thrived under new leadership, but that wasn't Henry's real legacy. His final gift wasn't the power of attorney or the evidence he'd collected. It was the truth he'd shown me, sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to look away from darkness. Richard's appeal was denied, Max said quietly. Evelyn took a plea deal. I nodded, remembering Henry's words from his letter, justice isn't about punishment, it's about preventing the next victim. The sound of approaching footsteps made us turn. Caleb stood awkwardly at the path's edge, clutching a familiar wooden box. "I found this in Richard's study," he said. "It belonged to Mother, before Evelyn." He trailed off, unable to finish. Inside the box lay photographs, letters, and a journal, fragments of a life systematically erased. Grandmother Mitchell's real story, hidden away by those who'd claimed to love her. "There's something else," Caleb hesitated. "The hospital board, they want to rename the mental health wing. In her honor." A bitter victory, but perhaps that's what healing looks like, acknowledging old wounds while creating something new from the scars. "Will you help?" I asked him. "There's decades of damage to undo." His eyes met mine, heavy with regret and hope. "Yes. It's time someone did." As we walked back to the cars, Max carrying the precious box, Lily touched my arm. "Mom? Are you okay?" I looked at my children, at Caleb trying to make amends. At the company buildings visible through the trees, a legacy transformed from weapon to shield. "Henry once told me revenge is a mirror," I said. "What matters isn't what we see in it, but what we choose to do after we look away." The wind picked up, carrying the last of summer's warmth. In my pocket, Henry's letter crinkled, not just a confession or a blessing, but a challenge. "The true test of power," he'd written, "isn't in what you can destroy, but in what you choose to rebuild." I took one last look at his grave, at the simple inscription we'd chosen. He taught us to look closer. Then I turned toward home, toward the future we were building, not from revenge, but from the harder, braver choice to heal. "I can't find my bracelet anywhere. I bet my mother-in-law took it again." "Stop overreacting. It's just a bracelet, and it's from Mom. Let it go." My mother-in-law has this annoying habit of taking my things without asking, and my husband always sides with her. Why can't he stand up for me? I'm at my wit's end here. Then something unexpected happened. My husband's beloved luxury car got stolen, and I know exactly who took it. I'm Emma, 28 years old. What started as a happy life with my husband, Ethan, began to unravel about a year into our marriage. We both have jobs, but I usually get home earlier, so I cook dinner and wait for Ethan to come back. One day, he dropped a bombshell on me. "Mom's moving in with us next week." "Wait, what? You mean she's staying over?" I asked, shocked. Ethan let out an exasperated sigh. "She's not just staying over, she's moving in." Moving in, living together. I couldn't believe it. Ever since Dad passed, Mom's been alone. She's getting older, and it's hard for her. "You can't just make that decision without me. We have our own lives too. At least give me some time to think about it." But Ethan just grinned and shrugged it off. "It's no big deal. Mom just wants to feel secure, so she's moving in. I understand she might feel lonely and insecure, but you made this huge decision without even talking to me. Couldn't you at least have told me?" "Why do I need to tell you everything? She's my mother." "Exactly, she's your mother, not mine. I'm the one who has to make all the adjustments." "What's your problem?" "It's already decided. Deal with it." "Wait, hold on." I called after him, but he left the room, leaving me alone with my growing frustration. How could he make such a big decision about our living situation without even considering my feelings? Ethan doesn't lift a finger around the house, and now I'm supposed to just accept this because it's his mom. We've tried discussing it, but all he says is, "It's done," shutting down any conversation. Sure enough, the next week, his mom, my mother-in-law, moved into our home, just like he'd planned. If she were a normal person, I might not mind living together, but she constantly makes snide remarks and belittles me. That's why I've always avoided going to her house unless absolutely necessary. Now, out of nowhere, we're living under the same roof. As I feared, my mother-in-law wasted no time in making snide remarks from the moment she arrived. "Emma, didn't you know I was coming today? There's trash piled up in the corner of the room." "I'm sorry, I was working all day and didn't have time to clean." Excuses, excuses. Couldn't you have tidied up after work? But then I wouldn't have had time to make dinner. "Oh, for heaven's sake, stop talking back. How do you even manage being Ethan's wife? Learn to be more efficient. I'm sorry, I muttered. Barely 10 minutes in our home, and it was already like this. I dreaded what lay ahead. From that day on, my mother-in-law's overbearing behavior only intensified, leaving me constantly on edge. One day, I came home from work, and she greeted me at the door with an unusually cheerful, "Welcome home." She never greeted me like that, so it felt unsettling. Then, I noticed something shiny around her neck. Wait, is that my necklace? It looked just like the one I owned. A bad feeling washed over me, and I rushed to my room to check my jewelry box. My suspicion was spot on. I immediately headed back to the living room and confronted her, who was lounging on the couch as if nothing was amiss. "Mother-in-law, that necklace, it's mine, isn't it?" "Oh, you finally noticed. It looks great on me, don't you think?" I couldn't believe her audacity. "What do you mean? Stop using my things without asking. What's the big deal? It's not like it's going to wear out." "That's not the point. And stop telling me what to do. Get dinner ready. Ethan will be home soon." Even as I cooked, she hovered over me, her meddling only adding to my stress. That night, I couldn't take it anymore and decided it was time to talk to my husband. "Hey, Ethan, can we talk for a minute?" What's up?" "Today, I found out your mother was wearing my necklace without asking." "Oh, and?" "So, do you get it now? She went into my room, opened my jewelry box, and took it. Stole it. Aren't you being a bit dramatic?" "Being dramatic? How is this an exaggeration?" "Calm down, I'm sure Mom didn't mean any harm." I felt my anger rise as Ethan sided with his mother. I struggled to keep my voice steady. "Are you saying it's acceptable to just go into someone's room and take their things? A decent person would at least apologize." "Mom just saw something she liked and took it. That's not the issue. Ethan, you need to talk to her." "Me?" "Yes, you. She disrespects me, and telling her off myself won't change anything. You, as her son, need to address this." "Fine, I'll handle it. Just be patient, okay?" Despite my insistence, Ethan seemed to forget by the next day. I shot him several annoyed looks, but he never spoke to his mother. She continued to use my belongings without asking, essentially borrowing without permission. No amount of complaining seemed to make a difference, and without locks on the doors, confronting her directly felt pointless. I needed to come up with a plan to stop her behavior before I lost more of my things. Then one day, something happened that I simply couldn't overlook. "What? It's gone. How could this happen?" Today, I had plans to meet a friend and wanted to wear a bracelet that belonged to my late mother. It's too precious to keep in the jewelry box, so I store it deep in my desk drawer. But now, it's missing. The only person who could have taken it is my mother-in-law. When I confronted her, she casually admitted to taking it. "Oh, that bracelet, I just borrowed it." "Borrowed it? Then give it back immediately. I need it." "I can't do that." "Why not?" "Because I sold it." "What? You sold it? Are you kidding me? Who sells someone else's belongings?" Though shaken, I tried to stay composed. "This isn't a joke. Give it back right now." "It's not a lie. And by the way, most of the things I've borrowed from you, I sold those too. What on earth is wrong with you?" As I argued with my mother-in-law, Ethan, who had just woken up, walked in. "Ethan, listen to this," I explained hurriedly. "Your mom sold my bracelet, the one that belonged to my late mother, and she's been selling off most of the things she's taken from me without asking." "Mom, is this true?" Ethan asked. Faced with the question, my mother-in-law just stuck out her tongue in a mock gesture. "I'm on a fixed income. You know, I don't want to be a burden. But I really need that extra cash to make ends meet." "Are you serious? What gives you the right to take my things?" "Don't be so upset. I didn't mean any harm." "Didn't mean any harm? If you didn't mean any harm, you wouldn't be stealing and selling other people's things." "Well, where did you sell it? You need to buy it back right now." Suddenly, Ethan shouted, "Enough is enough." His anger wasn't directed at his mother but at me. Confused, I asked him, "Why are you yelling at me, Ethan? Your mom took my bracelet without asking." "Be quiet. I did it for Mom. Stop complaining." "For Mom? Are you serious? Why should I have to give up my cherished belongings for her?" "Because it makes Mom happy. She's your mother-in-law. Show some respect and do as you're told. That was the breaking point for me. I couldn't stand his mother's theft and Ethan's support of her any longer. I can't live with people like this anymore. Fueled by frustration, I shouted, "That's it, if you're not going to make things right, let's get a divorce." What? Are you joking about divorce? I'm not joking, I'm absolutely serious. Fine, whatever, I'll get the divorce papers today. Good, if you're set on that, I have no problem with it. Throughout our argument, his mother watched with a smirk of satisfaction. She never liked me, and it seemed her real goal was to get me out and take over the house with her son. That night, Ethan came home with the completed divorce papers. After signing them, I started packing. I decided I'd leave when the time was right. The next day, during my work break, I checked my phone and saw multiple missed calls from my sister, Sophia. Something urgent must have happened. I called her back, and she delivered shocking news. Wait, Sophia, is this for real? Yes, it's real. You won't believe it, it's not something you see around here. But why? I took a photo, so I'll send it to you. Check it out as soon as you can. Okay, I'll look for it. After hanging up, I received the photo from Sophia. It was clear evidence that could expose my mother-in-law. When I got home and was preparing dinner, Ethan burst in, visibly panicked. "Emma, this is serious. What happened?" "My car, the one I've been dreaming of, is missing." "That's really serious. Why are you so indifferent? You know how much that car means to me." "I do, it's the car you finally bought last year after dreaming about it for so long." "Exactly, so show some concern. We're still paying off the loan. Where could it have gone? Don't tell me." "Emma, did you take it?" "Of course not. I have my own compact car, plus, I know you'd be furious if I took yours." "Then where?" My eyes shifted to my mother-in-law, who quickly averted her gaze. That confirmed my suspicion. "Ethan, I think your mom knows something about the car." "What do you mean? How could mom be involved?" "Isn't that right, mother-in-law?" As I questioned her, my mother-in-law's face went pale. "What are you talking about, Emma? How is mom involved?" "I got a call from Sophia today." "Sophia?" "Yes, she was out shopping and saw your mom driving your car." "What? But that car is a foreign model, and it's blue, it's pretty noticeable. Sophia even recognized the license plate." "Wait, what's going on here?" Ethan, now visibly angry, turned to his mother. She began to stammer. "No, Ethan, I just borrowed the car for a little while." "Borrowed? Are you serious? I've told you many times not to touch that car." "I'm sorry, but I really wanted to drive it." "What did you do with the car? Did you just leave it somewhere?" "No, that's not it. I left the keys in the ignition. Someone must have stolen it." "Stolen? Are you kidding me?" "I swear, I drove it home. I'm not lying." I pulled out the photo Sophia had sent me to confront her. "Is this why you're lying, mother-in-law? Because you damaged the car?" "What the, Emma, where did you get that photo?" The photo showed mother-in-law driving a severely damaged luxury car. "My sister took this photo and sent it to me." "You took Ethan's car and wrecked it so badly you couldn't drive it back, could you?" "No, that's not true." "Where is the car? And if someone from the neighborhood had stolen it, someone would have seen something." "Well, you see." Ethan, shaking with anger, yelled at his mother with a fierce look. "Are you kidding me? You ruined my car, and now you say you sold it. Give it back now." "Calm down, Ethan. Calm down, you're paying for the repairs." "Ah, that's impossible. I've already sold the car." "Sold it? That's not possible. The car is in my name. I found a dealer who said they would buy any car. They said I could sell it as a proxy, so I sold it for $4,000. "What? $4,000? That luxury car is worth hundreds of thousands, even if sold now." Mother-in-law had been duped by a shady dealer who didn't know the car's true value. When Ethan realized the extent of the damage, he exploded with rage and berated her like never before. "You've got to be kidding me. Do you have any idea how much that car meant to me?" "I'm sorry, Ethan." "Sorry, you need to make this right. I'll cover the $4,000, but you need to forgive me. $4,000 doesn't even come close to covering the damage. Just get out." "Ethan, visibly furious, forcibly kicked his mother out and locked the front door behind her. He turned to me, looking defeated. I never realized how toxic Mom could be. I'm sorry for not supporting you before. It's about time you see it. Don't worry, I'm past it now. With her gone, we can be happy together again. Excuse me, no, we won't. What? You're not serious, are you? I want a divorce. His face went pale, and he clung to me desperately. Hold on, I just got rid of Mom. Why divorce now? Can't you see? I'm done with you too. My decision to divorce stands. I have no intention of fixing things after everything that's happened. You've always sided with your mother. That's not fair, you're being too harsh. Harsh? You're the one who did nothing when I needed support. You're self-centered and useless. I can't stand you as much as I can't stand your mother. My feelings won't change. Emma, please calm down. Shut up. All of this happened because you decided to live with her. Reflect on that. I will never forgive you. You got what you deserved with the car. It serves you right. So you really feel that way? Absolutely. I hope you struggle with both the house mortgage and the car payments. It's the punishment you deserve. Take it as far as you can, you son of a... I left him with those words and grabbed my packed bags. I went straight to City Hall to file for divorce, deleting all his contact info and cutting ties completely. I later demanded compensation from my mother-in-law for selling my belongings without permission. She reluctantly started working to cover the costs, likely working for the rest of her life to pay off the debts. Ethan is now burdened with house and car loans. His life drastically changed. He no longer enjoys stress-relieving drives, spending his days confined to the house. Karma has certainly come around for both him and his mother. As for me, I moved to an apartment near my workplace. Now that I'm single again, I have more financial freedom and a much more peaceful life. It's my day off today, and I'm considering a drive to the beach. This is what freedom feels like, and I plan to embrace my new life to the fullest. My husband had been out of touch for nearly 3 days. He'd mentioned, I won't be replying for a while, but my anxiety was mounting. I was on the verge of contacting the police. Just as these thoughts were racing through my mind, I received a call from one of my colleagues. Ma'am, your husband was involved in an accident and has passed away. Wait, why is she calling me now? I can't process this. I rushed to the hospital, where I found my husband's body, barely recognizable. I'm Harper, 28, married for 2 years and working at an iced tea company. We've talked about having children, but not just yet. My husband, Christopher, is 30 and very dedicated to his job. He'd been working hard towards a promotion, and just the other day, he'd come home excitedly. Harper, you won't believe it, I might be getting a new position soon. That's fantastic news. I'm thrilled. It's been tough, but all the hard work seems to be paying off. I'm so proud of you. Christopher, you've been working so hard, even on your days off. Congratulations. Christopher was so committed to his job that he often worked late and even sacrificed his days off. While I worried about his heavy workload, seeing him so happy made me happy too. I felt motivated to keep supporting him. However, since then, something seemed off. His overtime became more frequent, and he wouldn't come home until well past midnight. His weekend work, which was rare before, had become regular. And last month, he even worked Saturdays. His attitude towards me had also grown colder. We used to enjoy our days off together, but that had stopped. Despite his grueling schedule, he never seemed tired. Concerned, I decided to confront him. I waited for him to come home late and brought up the issue. Hey, Christopher, can we talk for a minute? I'm exhausted and need to sleep. You're always on your phone before bed, even though you come home late. Aren't you worried about not getting enough rest? What's your point? How I spend my free time is my business. That's true, but are you really that overwhelmed with work? His expression tightened momentarily, and I pressed on, sensing something was wrong. I get that the promotion comes with a lot of responsibility, but doesn't it seem like too much? Working so many weekends and staying late, it can't be good for you or the company to overwork employees. I don't have a choice. I'm not working overtime or weekends because I want to. But doesn't it feel overwhelming? You don't know what it's like in my job. Harper, don't criticize me when I'm already exhausted. With that, Christopher left the room. leaving me with an uneasy feeling. One day, while commuting by car, I was rear-ended and taken to the hospital by ambulance. I had bruises all over and needed to stay for a few days after various tests. I called Christopher to bring me a change of clothes, but he didn't answer my calls or respond to my messages. I thought he should be done with work by now. He usually at least replied during his overtime. After numerous attempts, I finally reached him an hour later. As I tried to explain my situation, he sighed heavily. "Oh, you're really persistent. Can't you see I'm working overtime? If I don't answer, I'm sorry, but that's not the point right now." "What do you mean?" "I was in an accident on my way home. I'm in the hospital now, and though I'm in pain, they say there are no serious injuries." "An accident? What a hassle." His response stunned me. I couldn't help but say, "What? Stop causing problems while I'm busy. I'm not covering the car repairs." "I understand, but I need you to bring me a change of clothes." "Why should I? I'm exhausted from work. Going to the hospital feels like a punishment for your carelessness." "Carelessness? It wasn't my fault, it was the other drivers." "Stop complaining. I'm not coming, and I won't be responding for a while. Figure it out yourself." The call ended abruptly, and I was left in tears. Why did he speak like that? Isn't he concerned about his wife who's been in an accident? He used to prioritize me over work. I wished I could go get the clothes myself. With my parents living far away, I couldn't ask for their help. Despite several messages to my husband, he never brought my things. I had no choice but to buy what I needed from the hospital store. Since then, I tried to contact him several times, but 3 days had passed without a response. His claim of not replying for a while was starting to worry me. What if something had happened to him? Just as this anxiety consumed me, there was a knock on the hospital room door. When I answered, my coworker Jasmine, who I get along with well, walked in to visit me. "Jasmine, you came, thank you so much. I was shocked to hear about your accident. I reached out to you because you hadn't been at work for a while." "It's nothing major, just some bruises and a broken bone." "Even so, I'm glad you're doing okay." We chatted and laughed about trivial things for a while. As visiting hours were ending, Jasmine seemed hesitant to leave. She looked troubled, so I asked gently, "Jasmine, is something wrong?" "I'm sorry to bring this up now, but I saw something that might concern you." "What did you see?" "I saw your husband with Daisy." "Daisy? When did this happen?" "It was 3 days ago." Daisy, a junior coworker whom I had mentored, and with whom I still shared lunch once a week, seemed an unlikely companion for Christopher. They should have last seen each other at our wedding. Could it be? Though it seemed improbable, the worst possibilities flashed through my mind. Jasmine mentioned seeing Christopher and Daisy with a suitcase, and Daisy has been on paid leave since then. I decided to call my husband's office to confirm, and my suspicions were confirmed. He too had requested paid leave 3 days ago. The realization hit me like a wave. My husband and Daisy were betraying me. The increased overtime and weekend work were likely excuses for their meetings. Reflecting on his recent cold behavior, everything suddenly made sense. So that's why he's been so distant. It all clicked into place. Without thinking, I called my husband. I hadn't reached out much recently, assuming he wouldn't respond, but I couldn't just let him avoid me. I called repeatedly until he finally answered, sounding irritated after 30 minutes of trying. "What's going on? I thought you said you wouldn't be answering calls for a while. Why can't you pick up the phone for your wife?" "I'm busy working every day. Even though you're on paid leave until tomorrow, what work could you possibly be doing?" Caught off guard by my question, my husband hesitated, but then quickly began to make excuses. "What are you talking about? I didn't take any paid leave." "Don't try to play dumb. I've already confirmed it with the company." "Well, actually, I just decided to take a break and have been relaxing at home." "Really? Relaxing with Daisy, and preparing a suitcase?" I know everything, just admit it." My frustration made my voice rise. Realizing he could no longer hide the truth, my husband finally admitted his betrayal. You found out." "Yes, I'm on a trip with Daisy. Since you know now, stop bothering me, you ugly woman." "So that's it. Why Daisy?" "Why not? She's younger and cuter than you." "For such a shallow reason." "Enough. I'm enjoying my trip. Don't bother me." I'll deal with the divorce when I get back. He ended the call abruptly with a terse, "See ya." In an instant, the love I once had for my husband turned to hatred. I was consumed by the desire for revenge. Betrayed in such a devastating way, I vowed not to let him and Daisy have their way. Before I took action myself, I hoped divine retribution would find them first. The next day, after being discharged from the hospital and regaining some mobility, I began searching for a lawyer on my phone to prepare for my revenge. Just then, my phone rang. The name on the screen was Daisy, the woman my husband had been cheating with. Surprised and uneasy, I steeled myself and answered the call. "Hello? Mom. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Apologizing over the phone isn't enough. You should be apologizing in person." "Yeah, I know, but that's not the issue right now." "Huh?" Daisy's voice trembled, and then she said something that left me stunned. "Your husband, he's died in an accident." "What? What are you talking about?" I was at a loss for words, overwhelmed by shock. I barely managed to respond. "He's dead." "Wait, what are you saying? Christopher is with you on this cheating trip, isn't he?" "Yes, that's true, but on the way back from the airport, Christopher was in an accident." Daisy explained that they had been in an accident on their way home. Christopher was struck by a car, and despite an ambulance arriving quickly, he was unresponsive. To my astonishment, the hospital where Christopher was taken was the same one where I had been recovering. I ended the call abruptly, explained the situation to a nurse, and made my way to his side using crutches since my broken bone was still healing. I expected to find Christopher in the morgue, but instead, he was alive, though gravely injured. As I arrived, Daisy burst into the room, and upon seeing Christopher, she collapsed in shock. With so much to say, I realized that Christopher's critical condition meant there was no time for confrontation. I told Daisy we would talk later and left the hospital that day. Days later, Christopher barely survived, but the accident left him paralyzed from the waist down, confining him to a wheelchair. My in-laws were furious when they learned about the affair. Despite their anger, they couldn't hide their pity for their son, scolding him with harsh words. "You brought this on yourself with your affair." Once my in-laws had left, I decided it was time to confront Daisy and my husband. When I arrived at Christopher's hospital room, I found them in the middle of a heated argument. "If you hadn't pushed me, none of this would have happened. It's all your fault." "Me? You're the one who insisted on taking that route. Don't blame me." "Are you kidding? This whole mess started because you wanted a trip, and I paid for everything. Refund my money. If you love him, you should cover his medical bills. Are you out of your mind? This was just a fling. I'm done with you." "What?" Their argument continued, oblivious to my presence. Frustrated, I burst into the room, took a deep breath, and shouted, "Enough! The reason you're in this mess is the affair in the first place. Take your blame somewhere else." "Ah, Harper." "Ma'am." Both of them turned, their faces frozen in surprise. Ignoring their shock, I pressed on. "How can you argue at a time like this? Do you even grasp the situation you're in?" Christopher was the first to respond. "Harper, don't worry, I'm ending things with this woman." "Really?" "Yes, I realize now that it's always been you for me, Harper." "Huh, so you think that after everything, we're just supposed to stay married?" "What?" I couldn't help but laugh at his bewildered expression. "Didn't you say, we'll get a divorce when I get home? Now that you've had a falling out with your affair partner, you want to reconcile? Are you out of your mind? There's no way I'd spend my life with someone like you." "Harper, why? Didn't you love me?" "Don't even start. Who betrayed that love first? It was you. After all your talk about divorce, now you want to come back when it suits you. I'm not as cheap as you think. Understand that, and don't ever come near me again. Spend the rest of your life regretting this, you jerk." Christopher was left stunned by my outburst, and Daisy was pale and trembling. After being discharged from the hospital, I decided to stay with my parents for a while. My divorce from Christopher was finalized through a lawyer, and I secured full alimony payments from both him and Daisy. Christopher lost his job due to the scandal. It came to light that he had been misusing company funds for their affair. His paralysis made it easy for him to be dismissed. And now he's left with a potential lawsuit from the company. Finding new employment will be nearly impossible given his condition. The news of Daisy's affair with my husband quickly spread through the company. She faced cold stares and, unable to handle the hostile environment, began skipping work. Eventually, she resigned. It seems unlikely that either of them will lead a stable life again, but I don't feel any sympathy. They brought this disaster upon themselves. As for me, I've rented an apartment close to my workplace and am beginning a new chapter. While some colleagues have expressed concern or curiosity, I'm grappling with a mix of emotions that's hard to articulate. I'm sure the gossip will eventually die down. For now, I'm focused on enjoying my life and moving forward without being influenced by others. I tried my hand at making pasta with a cream sauce. It's homemade, so make sure to enjoy it while it's still warm. However, the dish she placed before us had a foul odor. It didn't smell appetizing at all, and I hesitated to take a bite. Aren't you going to eat it? Don't you like my cooking? Are you just trying to make things difficult for me? Holly's accusatory tone left me baffled, as if she was determined to paint me as the villain. When she momentarily left the table, I discreetly swapped my plate with my son Aiden's. I hoped my concerns were misplaced. As I slid my plate over, silently praying, Aiden took a hearty bite without a second thought, but as soon as he did, he began foaming at the mouth and collapsed backward. Aiden, why did he collapse? What happened? I immediately realized that Holly had deliberately tampered with my plate, even before she could pretend to be confused. Seeing her reaction, I resolved to get back at her. My name is Susan, and I turned 62 this year. When Aiden got married, it was just my husband and me left in our now quiet house. I missed the hustle and bustle. One day, during a conversation about his married life, Aiden suddenly looked troubled and brought up an issue. The truth is, my wife's cooking isn't very good. What are you saying? You should be grateful that someone is cooking for you. I really am, but I just can't eat it. Initially, I scolded Aiden for complaining about homemade food. He had never been a picky eater and had always enjoyed his meals, so it was odd to hear him say this. Well then, why don't you and Holly come over for dinner sometime? Really? Thanks, Mom. Seeing his face light up, I thought it wouldn't hurt to spend some time together. I made the offer casually, hoping to build a good relationship with Holly, but what unfolded was far beyond anything I could have imagined. A few days later, Aiden and Holly joined us for dinner. My husband and I enjoyed the lively conversation at the table without any notable incidents. I hope you like the food, Holly. It's delicious. I'm glad, thank you. Aiden always talks about how good his mom's cooking is. I'm so jealous he has such a skilled cook for a mother. I couldn't help but blush at Holly's compliment. Then she continued. I brought a dish as a gift for you as well. She placed a large container in the center of the table. Holly, what did you make for us? It's a French dish called quiche. Haven't you heard of it? With a confident air, Holly opened the container, revealing its contents. Inside was something that resembled a cross between an omelette and a pie, but the moment it was uncovered, a horrid smell filled the room, making me wince. The surface was burnt, while the inside was a gooey, undercooked mess with a fishy odor. It's easy to make, you just mix the dough and bake it. Really, should we heat it up again? No need, it's fine cold. With no other choice, I reluctantly picked up my chopsticks. The dough looked undercooked, and its powdery texture made me hesitate. My husband, watching closely, set his chopsticks down without taking a bite. Aiden, too, stayed silent and didn't touch his food. Oddly enough, Holly didn't try it either. Aren't you going to eat, mother-in-law? I'm sorry, but it seems a bit undercooked. Should we reheat it? Holly's face clouded at my response. I tried to be careful with my words, but it was clear she wasn't pleased. Forget it. She slammed the container onto the table. I didn't expect to be treated like this just for bringing a dish. Do you think you can get away with anything just because you're good at cooking? Holly, calm down. Before you criticize Mom, maybe you should try it yourself. It's so easy to make that I don't need to taste it. Why aren't you eating it? How can you serve food without tasting it first? Just give it a try. Though I didn't mean to offend, it was clear I had. I tried to defuse the tension, but Holly, still fuming, stormed out. Aiden apologized before hurrying after her. In the silence that followed, I held my head in my hands. At this rate, she's going to think I'm deliberately making things difficult. I sighed and glanced at my husband. The container sat untouched, and I wondered what to do next. I don't consider myself an exceptional cook, just an average one. I genuinely want to resolve this peacefully. I could suggest Aiden cook for himself, but that might bruise Holly's pride. Despite him being my son, it's not my place to interfere in their marriage. After discussing it with my husband, we decided to step back and avoid getting too involved. But since then, Holly began visiting more frequently. Mother-in-law, could you please make lunch and pack dinner for Aiden to take home? The next day, Holly came alone. Without Aiden, she spread empty containers across the table and asked me to prepare lunch and dinner for them. Taken aback by her sudden request, I asked if something was wrong. Aiden seems to prefer your cooking, so I thought it would be better if you made our meals from now on. Holly, that's not really fair. How about we cook together instead? No, you'll just make that disgusted face again. You're only making things harder for me. Her resolute tone left me at a loss for words. Even if I tried to explain that wasn't my intention, she wouldn't listen. In her mind, I was already the bad mother-in-law. While I didn't mind cooking, the idea of doing it every day for someone who disliked me so much was disheartening. I considered teaching her some simple recipes, but she refused even that. You're good at cooking, so just handle it for us, and don't forget about tomorrow's meal too. Despite my efforts to persuade Holly, she only became more demanding as time went on. On days when I refused, she would simply buy prepared food from the grocery store. Aiden didn't seem to mind and never complained, which only fueled Holly's frustration. She began to grumble about him eating at our place instead. Aiden was spoiled by you, wasn't he? Now he just gobbles up store-bought food. He's always loved eating, but he barely touches anything I make. It feels like he's doing it just to hurt my feelings. I'm not so sure about that. Soon, Holly started showing up at our house almost daily around lunchtime, relying on me for her meals and Aiden's dinners. Eventually, she even demanded that I prepare Aiden's lunch and deliver it in the mornings, leaving me at a loss. I spoke with Aiden, asking him to address Holly's constant visits, but instead, he began giving me money to cover their meals, avoiding the issue of her cooking altogether. If you're willing to spend that much money, why not have Holly learn to cook? I suggested, but Holly refused, claiming it hurt her feelings and wouldn't listen. This led to yet another conflict when Holly discovered Aiden was giving me money for the food. Why are you paying your mother? Is this some kind of allowance? You didn't tell me about this. It's because you're making my mom cook for us. What's wrong with paying for our meals? It's because you won't eat what I cook. I had no other choice. Despite several attempts to resolve the issue, Holly wouldn't budge. She insisted that not eating her cooking was a form of harassment and believed we were conspiring against her. Eventually, I decided to stop cooking for them altogether. While this seemed to resolve the issue, Holly remained dissatisfied. I had no choice but to step back and leave them to work things out on their own. About 2 or 3 weeks later, Holly showed up at our house again on a quiet afternoon. I braced myself as I greeted her at the door, but this time, Aiden was with her. I want you to teach me how to cook. She had finally come around. Please, just this once. Well, if that's the case, I'll help her, I said, relieved that we had reached a positive resolution. I led them to the kitchen, pleased to see Holly more motivated than before. She even brought her own ingredients, which seemed like a good sign. But then, to my surprise, she insisted that I leave the kitchen. When I tried to help, Holly kicked both Aiden and me out of the kitchen. We exchanged worried glances, but Holly insisted, I can't concentrate if I'm not alone, and refused to listen. After only a few minutes, she called us back into the living room, presenting a plate of pasta she'd made. It seemed too short a time to prepare pasta, so I attempted to check the kitchen, but Holly stopped me. Mother-in-law, what's wrong? Please, try it while it's still warm. Are you sure everything went smoothly? Did you find the pots and utensils? It was fine, so just enjoy my homemade pasta while it's hot. The pasta with cream sauce didn't look as unappetizing as before, but as I mixed it with my fork, I noticed something strange in the white sauce. At first, I thought it was bits of roux, but it had an odd smell, like air freshener. Aiden, sitting next to me, hesitantly took a bite. To my surprise, his face lit up. "It's delicious," he exclaimed, clearly impressed. "Wow, Holly, this is really good. You've gotten the hang of this." "I always cook properly. See, even my mother-in-law can't refuse it." "Mom, it's just normal pasta. It's fine." Despite Aiden's offhand comment, which would usually irritate Holly, she seemed unfazed and kept urging me to eat. However, the more I stirred the pasta, the stronger the strange odor became, making me hesitant. "Why won't you eat it? Are you just trying to mess with me?" "That's not it, At that moment, Holly's phone rang. She quickly excused herself, leaving the room to take the call. Seizing the opportunity, I asked Aiden to swap our plates. Eager for seconds, he started eating my portion, but moments later, he collapsed, foaming at the mouth. I screamed in panic. What happened? Why did Aiden collapse? Holly rushed back into the room, looking alarmed as I frantically called for an ambulance. She knelt beside Aiden, bewildered. What happened to Aiden? Aiden was rushed to the hospital and had his stomach pumped. My husband joined me there, and we finally breathed a sigh of relief when we saw Aiden resting on the hospital bed. But before we could voice our concern, Holly blurted out, "Why? Why did Aiden collapse? How come?" "Holly, please calm down. It should have been you. Did you force Aiden to eat it?" "What are you talking about, Holly? What did you do?" My husband and I pressed Holly for answers as she continued to accuse me and then said something shocking. "You insulted my cooking, so I thought I'd get back at you." "Get back at me?" "Yes, it's your fault that Aiden won't eat my food. He's always taken your side." "Neither Aiden nor I ever meant to hurt you, but I understand that we did." "Yes, you did. That's why I thought everything would be better if you weren't around." Holly had indeed put something foreign in the pasta she served me. The white residue turned out to be detergent. Thankfully, no serious harm was done, but things could have been far worse. Aiden might have ended up in a more critical condition. Aiden should have noticed the strong smell, but the situation had escalated beyond a simple cooking mishap. I couldn't stay silent any longer. "If you think it would be better if I weren't around, then you just needed to put more effort into your cooking. But as long as you're here, Aiden will always be on your side, won't he?" Holly's unapologetic and thoughtless response left me feeling defeated. My husband, too, shook his head in dismay, realizing Holly didn't grasp the seriousness of her actions. "That's enough, Holly, I need to speak with your parents." "What? Why? My parents have nothing to do with this." "Because talking to you isn't getting us anywhere." After Aiden's safe recovery and discharge from the hospital, we decided to involve Holly's parents. Although Holly was extremely reluctant, I reached out to her parents to explain the situation and arrange a meeting. "I am deeply sorry for the trouble our daughter has caused." "Oh no, it's my mother-in-law who should apologize." "That's right, my mother-in-law is the one at fault." Each time Holly spoke, her mother, Kate, gave her a stern look and made her bow her head. Kate's strict demeanor made me question Holly's behavior and attitude. "We'll cover the medical expenses. If there's anything else we can do to make amends, please let us know." "Stop it, I'm not paying any money." "Holly, can you explain why you did this?" "As I said at the hospital, it's because Aiden always sides with you." Holly continued to insist that I was provoking Aiden to mock her cooking, even blaming me for the need to take over cooking duties. Unable to tolerate her attitude any longer, I decided to show Kate a photograph to clarify the situation. "What is this?" "This is a dish Holly brought to our house. She said it's called quiche." "You served this awful thing to someone else?" Kate, visibly shaking, glared at Holly and began reprimanding her fiercely. Holly could only hang her head in silence as Kate's scolding continued unabated, leaving us no chance to intervene. Eventually, Holly confessed everything. She admitted that if Aiden continued to side with me, she would eventually be responsible for caring for me. In a bizarre twist of logic, she thought that by getting me hospitalized, she could avoid that responsibility. The irrationality of her reasoning was staggering. "I'm sorry, but I can't continue our marriage after something like this." "Why not? It's not my fault. You should have supported me instead of your mother." "Be quiet, you could be reported to the police for this." At the mention of the police, Holly turned pale. Though there were discussions about compensation and hospital fees, Kate promised to hold Holly accountable, preventing the situation from escalating further. Despite her childish behavior, Holly seemed despondent after Aiden told her, "I can't be with you anymore." I later discovered that Holly's parents, whom she claimed to have a strained relationship with, were actually professional chefs. Holly, who had been reprimanded for her unconventional cooking ideas, had begun experimenting freely after her marriage. Aiden informed me that her parents were furious with her for trying to undermine someone with her cooking, particularly her father, whom we hadn't met, was reportedly enraged and had begun a bridal training program, teaching Holly the basics of cooking at their home. This experience made me realize the importance of teaching my son basic household skills. Although Aiden appreciated having someone cook for him, he started preparing simple dishes on his own. He even asked me to teach him how to cook and often comes over so we can cook together. Interestingly, my husband also developed an interest in cooking. Now, the three of us enjoy cooking together, or sometimes I let them take over while I relax. I'm Sally, a 50-year-old housewife. Both of my children are now grown and have moved out, living independently. With them gone, I've started working from home in addition to managing my household duties. My husband has been incredibly supportive of this new chapter in my life. When I first started, I was only making about $200 a month, but over time, that amount steadily increased to $600, then $800. I'm really grateful to the clients who continue to give me work. My sister-in-law lives nearby with her family. She's my husband's twin, so she's the same age as him, and as it happens, I'm the same age as well. While we've been somewhat close from the start, I've never really liked her. Even casual conversation with her has always felt like a chore. My husband also shares my feelings. He's never been fond of her. She's always been arrogant, full of herself, and seems to enjoy looking down on others, a real show-off, which I find quite irritating. Her son, Tommy, who is also my nephew, has been bedridden his whole life. He's 24 now and has struggled with a severe illness since childhood, leaving him unable to move much. One day, I received a text from my sister-in-law, dripping with condescension, "I'm off to Hawaii today. Booked a luxury hotel and will be enjoying a whole week there. I guess you can't go, right? Because your poor little husband doesn't make enough money. You two must be such a sad middle-aged couple, probably on the verge of divorce. I'll be strutting around the beach in my swimsuit, turning heads. But you, with that matronly figure, no way. Your belly must be all saggy after having 2 kids. But I only have Tommy, so I'm still slim and firm. No one would ever guess I'm 50. Not like you, you fat old woman." How could she be so cruel? Yes, I have 2 children, and they were born close together, so my body didn't bounce back immediately. Even now, I can't say my belly is as toned as I'd like. I do have a matronly figure, but so does my sister-in-law. She might be overly confident in her appearance, but to me, we're on the same level. If she were truly beautiful and in perfect shape, maybe I could let her comments slide, but coming from her, why should I tolerate that? And what about Tommy? So what's happening with Tommy while you're gone? Are you leaving him somewhere or having someone come by every day, maybe even stay overnight? Huh, no way, that's too much of a hassle. He'll be fine just sleeping at home. I left some drinks and snacks by his bed. That's horrible. How can you just leave him like that? What? I don't need advice from someone like you who's never dealt with real hardship. My life's been ruined because of him. I wish I never had a son like that. Well, I'll take care of him then. I'm coming to get Tommy now. Do whatever you want. It'll be a relief if he's out of my hair. Fine, I'll be there soon. I drove over to her house. It's only about 5 minutes away. Since Tommy is bedridden and needs a special wheelchair, I took our station wagon, which can accommodate his needs. You really showed up for someone like him? Yes, I did. I care about Tommy. He's nothing but a burden, just lying around doing nothing at his age. And what about you? You're a full-time housewife, lounging around all day. Sounds like you're both a perfect match. I'm working remotely now. I'm not just lazing around. And not all housewives are slackers, you know. Remote work? That's not a real job. My husband and I both work full-time. You're basically just a housewife. It would serve you right to spend your life taking care of Tommy. Oh, is that so? Come on. Tommy, let's go. Tommy looked downcast, and I couldn't blame him. Hearing such cruel words from his own mother must be unbearable. I understand how hard it is to care for a sick child, but to say those things right in front of him is beyond harsh. Even if she needs to vent, she should do it away from him. It doesn't matter how old the child is, anyone would be hurt in that situation. After some effort, I got Tommy settled in at our house. When my husband, David, came home, he was surprised to see him. Tommy, what are you doing here? Uncle David, I'm sorry, your sister was going on vacation and planned to leave Tommy behind, so I brought him here. I should have talked to you first. No need to apologize. My sister must have lost her mind. Leaving him behind like that is just awful. Tommy, you're welcome to stay here as long as you want. We'll take good care of you. Uncle David. That's right, Tommy, don't worry about a thing. We've always loved having you around. Thank you, Aunt Sally. I can't stand my sister-in-law and her husband. They're the worst kind of people, selfish and cruel. But I've always liked Tommy. Despite his illness, he's incredibly compassionate and, above all, very smart. He might not have attended special education much, but he was naturally bright from the start. I've always thought of him as a genuinely intelligent kid. I later found out that my sister-in-law and her husband actually went to Hawaii, leaving Tommy behind. I couldn't believe it. What if something happened to him? They wouldn't be able to come back right away. My husband was just as shocked. My sister and her husband must be out of their minds, going to Hawaii and leaving Tommy alone. I know, I haven't taken care of him before, so maybe it's not my place to say this, but leaving him without arranging any care services or facilities. If she hadn't sent that message, Tommy would have been left here, and we wouldn't even have known. It's terrifying. Yeah, it's really horrible. I've never had to care for a child with a serious illness. My in-laws are still healthy and have always said they'd go to a senior home if they couldn't take care of themselves, so I've never been a caregiver. I didn't feel qualified to criticize my sister-in-law, but I still couldn't understand how she could just leave her son with only a drink and take off. Tommy's condition is severe enough that they could get welfare support, and if they needed to travel, they could have used short-term care facilities. My sister-in-law and her family returned from their trip and made a point of coming over to our house just to insult us. Here, we brought you a souvenir. It's perfect for you. What is it? Some seashells we picked up at the beach. We have plenty, so we're giving you some. We don't want them. Oh, really? Rejecting a gift? Maybe you'd prefer this piece of driftwood instead. We don't want any of it. By the way, how's Tommy doing? Tommy, I couldn't care less about that useless child. That's awful. How can you talk about your own son like that? What do you know? It's horrible, having a child only to find out he's severely ill. I want back all the money I spent raising him. You can only judge me because you don't understand what it's like to live for such a worthless son. Oh, is that so? Then about what you mentioned before, are you really okay with us adopting him? Do whatever you want. Who would be crazy enough to adopt a child like that? Are you out of your mind? It's not crazy. I'm serious. With that, I closed the door on them. My sister-in-law and her husband left without another word. My husband and I decided to adopt Tommy as our own, and from that moment on, he became our child. Although he had been deeply hurt by his biological parents' abandonment, he slowly started to find joy again in our home. Despite being bedridden, he could still use his hands, so he spent his time happily using tablets and smartphones while lying down. One day, Tommy was beaming with excitement. Guess what? My story is going to be published in a literary magazine. A literary magazine, really? Yeah, I've been writing novels as a hobby, since I'm bedridden. It's one of the few things I can do. It's a bit embarrassing, though. There's no need to be embarrassed. That's a wonderful hobby. Can I read it? Sure, this is the first one I wrote. I decided to read the short story Tommy had written. It was incredibly well-crafted and deeply moving. This is amazing. I'm blown away by how good it is. I can't even put my feelings into words. I just started writing on my tablet, and it got more attention than I expected. So, I wrote a longer story, and this one's getting published too. I had no idea you were so talented, I said, genuinely impressed. I showed the story to my husband, who's an avid reader, and he was just as amazed. This is incredible. It feels like true literature. Thanks, I really admire Fitzgerald and Hemingway. I'm also a fan of Dostoevsky and Hesse. That makes sense. The story has a melancholic tone, just like the works of those authors. Their writing is often sorrowful or even tragic. That's exactly what I was going for. Soon, Tommy's novel was set to be published in hardcover. He decided to use a pseudonym, Scott Weil. He chose Scott from F. Scott Fitzgerald and Weil from Hermann Hesse's Beneath the Wheel. Before long, books by Scott Weil were flying off the shelves. There was even a special section for his works at the local bookstore, which filled me with pride. Then Tommy won the Pulitzer Prize, and we were all stunned. "I won the Pulitzer Prize," Tommy exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. "That's incredible, you really worked hard for this," I said, beaming with pride. "Oh, Tommy's extraordinary talent has finally been recognized by the world. There's nothing more rewarding," my husband added. "Yes, even someone like me, confined to bed, can become a recognized writer. No one should ever give up on their dreams," Tommy said, his eyes shining with determination. "I could learn a lot from you," I responded, inspired by his resilience. A press conference was quickly arranged. Since Tommy couldn't go on stage without assistance, we accompanied him. He needed to be seated in a special wheelchair, with his upper body secured. I carefully wheeled him into the venue, noticing how tense he seemed as we approached the flashing cameras. The live television broadcast began as soon as we were in position. I, Scott Weil, am a bedridden author. Since childhood, I've struggled with a serious illness, spending most of my time in bed, but reading books became my escape, and I decided that I wanted to inspire others through my writing. I'm deeply grateful to everyone who has read my books, and to my adoptive parents, who have supported me every step of the way. After his speech, the journalists began asking questions. Some were insensitive, probing into the reasons behind his adoption. Tommy responded calmly. "My biological mother struggled deeply with my illness. Over time, she may have grown to resent me. I can't blame her for that." The room erupted with murmurs of disapproval. "What a terrible parent. That's so heartless." But Tommy didn't want anyone's pity. "Everyone has their own struggles, so please don't judge her here. I ask you to respect that." After the press conference ended, my husband and I helped Tommy back into the car. Our vehicle was specially modified to accommodate his wheelchair, making the transition easier. When we returned home, we found my sister-in-law and her husband waiting for us. "Tommy, you won the Pulitzer Prize. I'm so happy for you. Why don't you come live with us again?" my sister-in-law said, her tone suddenly warm and inviting. It was clear her attitude had changed, likely because she now saw Tommy's success as a potential source of income. "No, I'm staying here. I'm not going back to that house." "But I'm your real mother. My only parents are Sally and David." "Then give us the prize money." "No, this money is for my mom and dad, Sally and David." "What? I'm the one who raised you all these years. You owe me that money." "Absolutely not." Despite her being financially secure, my sister-in-law has always had a keen sense for money and a relentless desire for anything that might quickly turn into cash. She was determined to claim the $15,000 from the Pulitzer Prize, but Tommy stood his ground. "I don't see you as my parents anymore. You insulted me when I was young. I didn't speak ill of you at the press conference, but you frequently expressed how much you regretted having me. You even said you wanted to abandon me, a worthless son. Do you know how deeply that hurt? I'm the one who should be upset. Having given birth to someone like you, you should be apologizing to me. I did nothing wrong. How dare you forget everything I did for you?" Her husband joined in, demanding the money as well. Their greed was appalling, so vulgar. They boasted about their full-time jobs and financial stability, yet they acted so foolishly. I decided to fight back. "You're so obsessed with money that you sell all sorts of things online, aren't you? Desperate to make a quick profit." "What? Look who's talking, selling seashells and coral online. You think that's acceptable? People buy seashells to decorate their homes." "It's not acceptable. Taking a few seashells as a souvenir is one thing, but coral is different. Even if you claim it's not a problem because it's not alive, it still contributes to the beach's ecosystem. Hawaii's regulations are clear. Taking coral is prohibited, and you could even face a fine for it." "What? That's absurd. I refuse to accept that. Since you're selling them online, it's definitely against the rules. I'll be reporting you. We're going inside now. Goodbye. No, don't. I absolutely will. You're going to get caught. I can't wait to see it. With that, we quickly went inside the house. We wasted no time contacting the police. While it's not unusual for people to pick up a few seashells, I saw on the online marketplace that my sister-in-law was selling an enormous quantity of seashells and coral. It was an outrageous amount, suggesting she might be involved in illegal poaching. She may have thought it was acceptable to take coral as long as it wasn't alive. But ignorance doesn't excuse the violation of regulations. I also reported her on the marketplace, as I had just discovered the situation the day before. This felt like just retribution. Since then, my sister-in-law has had to deal with police investigations and fines. I hope this experience makes her reflect on her actions. She has been avoiding our house ever since, and I suspect she's afraid I might retaliate. Personally, I have no intention of causing her any more trouble unless she provokes me again, but I'm relieved that she's staying away. I hope it remains this way indefinitely. Meanwhile, I'm managing to take care of Tommy while working from home, with the assistance of a caregiver to help with his needs. It's challenging to care for someone bedridden, but I'm content to be there for him. I want Tommy to continue writing his novels without worry. I hope his work gains even more recognition worldwide. Our kids are now huge fans of Tommy's novels, and they'll be coming home soon. I'm looking forward to spending quality time together as a family. I'm sorry for being insensitive the other day. That's what Eliza, who is usually sarcastic, said as she bowed her head. For once, it seemed like she was genuinely apologizing. Reflecting on her past behavior, I lowered my guard, softened by her unexpected apology. Little did I know that this would soon lead to a tense situation involving the police. My name is Lisa, and I've been living my dream as a daycare teacher, a career I've wanted since childhood. My husband, Jace, and I have been married for 3 years, enjoying a quiet life together. On a lazy day off, a call came in from my mother-in-law. Eliza, you should visit us soon. It's been 6 months since we last saw you. As soon as Jace heard his mother's voice, he looked annoyed. Despite their house being just a 30-minute drive away, Jace is never eager to visit. He's always kept his distance, frustrated by his mother's constant meddling. Ever since we got married, Eliza has made me the target of her snide remarks, as if blaming me for stealing her only son. Though I find her difficult to deal with, I have no choice but to visit when she calls. The last time we ignored her request, she showed up at our house unannounced. To avoid that kind of hassle, it's easier to go see her before she decides to take matters into her own hands. As expected, our first visit in 6 months was greeted with a barrage of sarcastic comments. Every time I'm there, I feel the stress build up, especially when she pesters me about not having children yet. You can't have kids because you're too busy working. A woman should stay home. Her words cut deep, but I tried to stay calm. Jace's father, Derek, a retired middle school teacher, used to have a demanding job that often kept him busy on weekends. Eliza, a stay-at-home mom, always boasted about raising Jace by herself. Jace was quick to respond to her latest jibe. We can't get by on my salary alone, he said firmly. Besides, Lisa's a daycare teacher because it's her dream. She's committed to seeing her senior class graduate this year. I tried to explain that we're not planning to have kids yet, but it only led to more insults. I was against this marriage from the start. What does a daycare teacher even contribute to society? You're just playing with kids all day, aren't you? Her words stung, but I forced a smile, knowing that reacting would only encourage her. Eliza was relentless once she started her insults. These days, mothers are terrible for leaving their kids so young. It's probably mostly single moms or poor families, she said with an exaggerated sigh. While I could tolerate her criticisms about my job or lack of children, I couldn't stay quiet when she began voicing prejudices about other parents. Look, parents are doing their best to balance work and raising kids. Not everyone is fortunate enough to stay home like you did. Please stop making such comments. Eliza's face twisted in anger. How dare you argue with me when you can't even have children? She snapped. As the tension between us rose, Derek finally intervened. Eliza, that's enough. Watch your words. I was surprised by Derek's defense. He's usually a quiet man who rarely speaks up during our visits. It seemed even he had had enough of Eliza's harshness. What's wrong with speaking the truth? Children left in daycare probably won't turn out well, Eliza continued, blatantly ignoring Derek's warning. She doubled down on her biased opinions, leaving me fuming, unable to tolerate any more. Jace began hurriedly gathering our things. That's it, Lisa, we're leaving. Eliza tried to stop him, but Jace was already heading out the door, not even sparing her a glance. He's become so distant since he got married, Eliza cried out, her voice trembling with hysteria. She blamed me, but this coldness from Jace was nothing new. Ever since he moved out, he'd started questioning Eliza's intrusive behavior. I was shocked when I first learned that she used to enter his apartment with her own key and even read his mail. What are you standing there for? Go get Jace right now, she ordered, insisting I call him back. Annoyed and fed up with being bossed around, I finally snapped. It's sad, isn't it? You were always around, yet you're disliked. You think it's love, but it's really just smothering. Thanks for showing me exactly how not to raise a child. Knowing we wouldn't be seeing each other for a while, I let out everything I'd been holding back, still seething over her awful remarks about daycare parents. It felt liberating to finally speak my mind. Eliza's face turned crimson with rage. You'll regret this. I'll kick a nasty woman like you out of my house, she screamed, slamming the front door. As I walked out, I realized that being kicked out might mean we wouldn't be called or visited for some time. I relayed the incident to Jace, who was waiting for me outside. Good for you, standing up to Mom. Maybe we'll have some peace now, Jace said, reassuringly, but Eliza's parting words still lingered in my mind. If we didn't hear from her, I figured we could skip visiting for Christmas. Just a few days later, though, Jace received a message from Eliza. She invited us to a pizza party, saying she regretted her words and wanted to apologize. When Jace asked what I thought, I hesitated. I couldn't quite picture Eliza actually apologizing. The olives on the pizza are from a friend's farm. They're supposed to be really fragrant and delicious. Let's just go. And if Mom starts up with her remarks again, we'll just take the pizza and leave, Jace suggested, making me laugh. It reminded me of how much Jace loves pizza. All right, let's go. I'm curious to see if Eliza will actually apologize. I agreed. So, on our next day off, we headed back to my in-laws' house. As soon as we arrived, Eliza surprised me by immediately apologizing. I'm sorry for the insensitive things I said the other day. Can you forgive me? Her sincere apology made her seem like a completely different person. After that, Eliza and I chatted and even shared a few laughs, something that had never happened since we got married. Lisa, take this seat. If you want seconds, just let me know, she said, serving us each several pieces of pizza. Apparently, she was a bit of a germaphobe, even when it came to family. The fresh pizza smelled amazing, its aroma wafting through the room. As we sat down to eat, I noticed Derek wasn't around. Eliza explained that he was working in the yard and told us to start without him. Guess we'll dig in then, Jace said, eagerly grabbing a slice and taking a big bite. The moment I picked up my slice, the delicious smell of the pizza hit me. Eliza urged us to eat it while it was hot, so I took a bite. The colorful veggies looked enticing, but as soon as I bit into it, something felt off. The bacon was juicy, and the veggies were fresh, but the olives and asparagus didn't have the fragrance I'd expected. I mumbled to myself, puzzled by the lack of aroma. Still, I didn't want to complain about food that had been prepared for us. Jace, do you taste or smell the olives on your pizza? I quietly asked, making sure Eliza couldn't hear. He nodded as if it were obvious. I wondered if maybe I was coming down with a cold, so I kept eating. About 20 minutes later, Derek came in from the yard and joined us at the table. Noticing my perplexed expression as I examined the pizza, he asked what was wrong. I looked at Derek and said, I was just wondering why I can't smell any olives or asparagus. From the kitchen, Eliza called out, It's there, trust me. As soon as I hear Eliza's laughter from the kitchen, Derek suddenly slams my plate off the table. Spit it out. How much did you eat? The plate crashes to the floor, shattering into pieces. Stunned by Derek's outburst, something entirely out of character for him, I stammer, I ate a few slices. Jace, alarmed, asks, what's happening? But Derek ignores him, urgently insisting that I spit it out. Meanwhile, Eliza remains in the kitchen, seemingly unfazed by Derek's shouting. Confused and starting to feel lightheaded, I rush to the bathroom. Once there, I barely make it to the toilet before vomiting uncontrollably. My body begins to tremble, drenched in sweat, and I collapse onto the cold bathroom floor. "Call an ambulance now," Derek's voice booms, a mix of fear and anger. I can vaguely hear him yelling something at Eliza, but everything is starting to blur. The next thing I know, I'm waking up in a hospital bed. Jace is beside me, his face pale and eyes glistening with tears. "You're going to be okay. We got you here just in time," he says, his voice trembling as he recounts the events. It turns out that the pizza I had eaten contained red spider lily, a highly poisonous plant. While the flower is known for its striking beauty, the bulb resembles olives, and the stem looks like asparagus, easily mistaken by someone unfamiliar with it. Derek, thinking quickly, had sent a slice of the pizza with Jace to be analyzed, and the results confirmed the presence of red spider lily. "Is Jace okay?" I ask, my voice shaky with concern, remembering that he'd been eating the pizza too. "We had all the pizzas checked," Jace replies, but his hesitation makes my heart race. "The only pizza that had red spider lily was yours, Lisa." A cold dread washes over me. Someone had deliberately put the poisonous plant in my pizza, and the only person who could have done it was Eliza, who had prepared the meal herself. The doctor, after hearing the situation, looks troubled and insists that the incident be reported to the health department. He also suggests contacting the police, believing Eliza's actions to be highly suspicious. Jace, though shaken, agrees but asks for some time to process everything. "I can't think of her as my mother anymore. She's a criminal. What if Dad hadn't noticed in time?" Jace's voice is filled with horror as we both realize how close I came to a fatal mistake. I recall stories of people dying from ingesting red spider lily, and the thought that I could have been one of them sends chills down my spine. First, I want to talk to Derek. I'm too scared to face Eliza right now. After leaving the hospital, we call Derek, who has left numerous messages, clearly worried. But what's even more chilling is the complete silence from Eliza. "Are you okay?" I repeatedly ask Eliza when we finally reach her, but her responses are cold and detached, only offering a vague excuse about making a mistake. I'm certain she did it on purpose. Even Derek, who's normally reserved, is visibly shaken. "I've held back for too long, but I can't anymore. She's truly dangerous." Derek then reveals disturbing details about Eliza's past that leave both Jace and me in shock. It becomes clear that Eliza's apology was nothing but a ruse to lure me in, all with the intent to cause harm. Anger and disbelief surge within us, and we decide to confront Eliza directly, no longer willing to stay silent. When we arrived at the in-laws' house, Eliza sat there, looking drained and defeated. It was clear Derek had confronted her, but even so, she showed no remorse or concern when she saw me. "I never expected Derek to figure it out. I was just trying to get rid of you, you audacious woman," she said coldly. Jace, unable to hold back any longer, snapped at her. "Are you serious? You're nothing but a criminal." Eliza flinched at being called a criminal by her own son. "What are you talking about? I did it for Jace's sake. If he stays with you, he'll never have the children he deserves. I'll find him a better partner, so just leave." Her lack of remorse for poisoning me with red spider lily was chilling. "So you deliberately mixed red spider lily into my food? You wanted to kill me? This was all planned?" "Yes, I did it on purpose. The plant grows nearby. It was easy to get. It's just a shame you didn't eat more. You might have done more than just throw up." Furious, Jace lunged at Eliza, but I quickly stepped in to hold him back. I then pulled out a voice recorder from my chest pocket. "Eliza, you just admitted to intentionally trying to harm me, and it's all on this recorder. I'll be filing a report with the police." Eliza's face drained of color at the mention of the police. "What? You'd send your own family member to prison?" "Yes," I said firmly, with both Derek and Jace backing me up. "Besides, you've done this before." To Derek, I then revealed what Derek had confided in me. There had been a massive argument between them once, over something trivial. The next day, Derek noticed that the pizza she'd made had no smell of olives. Being cautious about food, he instantly suspected something was wrong and remembered the red spider lily. He faked a stomachache and avoided eating the pizza. After Eliza went to bed, he checked the trash and found remnants of the plant, confirming his suspicions. Because of his past experience, He knew immediately to tell me to spit out the food. I explained. I could handle it if it were just me, but I can't allow anyone to harm someone important to my son. We're getting divorced, Derek said, his voice resolute. He had always valued Eliza's support, especially in raising Jace, and divorce wasn't a decision he took lightly. But after this, he couldn't continue living with her. Eliza, who had never imagined divorce as a possibility, was left speechless. How am I supposed to live now? She asked, panic creeping into her voice. I'll give you this house, Derek replied. We have some savings, they'll serve as your retirement fund once we divide the assets. Derek spoke about the divorce with a calm finality, as if he'd already thought it through. Eliza, stunned, could barely get a word in. While they discussed the details of the divorce, Jace and I decided to leave. We're going to the police station now, I told Eliza. Please cooperate when the investigation starts. Without another word, we headed straight to the police station, where the damage report was filed. An investigation into Eliza's actions would soon follow. In the days that followed, Eliza began calling us almost daily, her voice filled with desperation. Please, withdraw the report, she begged, her exhaustion palpable. Derek soon finalized the divorce and moved out. With the police inquiries and Jace's departure, nasty rumors about Eliza began circulating in the neighborhood. Despite her pleas for help, I felt no sympathy. I couldn't endure any more of her persistent calls. Even if I changed my number, nothing would stop her from showing up at our door. Tired of dealing with this mess, I finally said, fine, I'll retract the damage report, but you are never to show your face to us again. Even when we have a child, you will never meet them. If you come near us, I'll go straight to the police. This seemed to hit Eliza hard, especially since she had been so eager for a grandchild. However, she must have realized that avoiding a criminal record was more important. In the end, Eliza agreed to pay me a settlement, so I withdrew the report. The money likely came from the property settlement she received during her divorce from Derek, meaning her savings must have taken a serious hit. I heard from Derek that Eliza couldn't handle the neighborhood gossip anymore and eventually sold her house to move to a cheaper rental in Philadelphia. Apparently, she's been calling Derek, begging him to take her back, but he made it clear that it's never going to happen. From here on out, it seems Eliza is destined for a lonely life. As for Derek, he moved closer to our home. I've come to really appreciate Derek, someone I know I can count on. I'm confident that when we have children in the future, Derek will be there to help protect and love them. Mom wants us to come home for the New Year holiday, but during our first holiday season as a married couple, Malcolm suddenly announced that he wanted to visit his family instead. I told him I also wanted to be with my family, but he flatly refused. To make matters worse, his mother began berating me, accusing me of being an ungrateful wife and a poor daughter-in-law. No matter how much I tried to negotiate, Malcolm always sided with his mother. I had reached my breaking point. I was done with this family dynamic and decided it was time to take steps to sever ties with my in-laws permanently. My name is Abby, and I'm 28 years old. I married Malcolm, my boyfriend of 2 years, and our newlywed life had been going smoothly. Both of us work full-time, so we share the household chores equally. I wanted to ensure that I wasn't left with all the housework just because I'm a woman, so I made sure Malcolm did his part. My job and personal life were fulfilling, and I even started considering having a child once things settled down. 1 month after we got married, I was suddenly called to my in-laws' home. At the time, I thought it was just a visit, a chance to bond with my mother-in-law since I had been too nervous to talk much during our previous visits. But the visit turned out to be anything but pleasant. As soon as Malcolm and I arrived and took our seats in the living room, my mother-in-law's voice cut through the room. Abby, why are you sitting there so leisurely? Make me some tea. Caught off guard, I apologized. I'm sorry, I thought I was a guest here. I didn't expect to be treated like a servant. My mother-in-law watched me prepare the tea with growing impatience. You're taking too long. It's common sense to warm the cup first, she huffed. Malcolm and my father-in-law remained silent. I wondered why she didn't just make the tea herself if she had so many complaints. My tea-making skills might not have been perfect, but I was frustrated by her rigid expectations. On another occasion, I was about to clean our house when my mother-in-law suddenly called. I rushed over to their house with Malcolm, only to find her already fuming. Why didn't you bring any gifts? It's customary to bring something when visiting your in-laws. She scolded me. I wasn't planning to go out today, and I only decided to come here at the last minute, so I'm not accepting excuses. These days, daughters-in-law have no respect for their mothers-in-law, do they? I'm really stuck with a poor daughter-in-law. Throughout all this, neither Malcolm nor my father-in-law offered any support. I didn't necessarily want them to confront her, but I wished someone would stop her unreasonable tirades. After her lecture, I whispered to Malcolm, "Can you say something to your mom?" It was a last-minute decision to come today, so there was no way I could have prepared a gift, but when I expressed my concern, my husband sighed in annoyance. "Don't you think you should always have gifts on hand just in case? I agree with my mom on this." His response was frustrating and unfair. Why was he siding with his mother and blaming me? My frustration with Malcolm grew, and my aversion to my mother-in-law intensified. Shortly after, I found myself constantly summoned and subjected to the in-laws' outdated expectations. Whenever we visited, I was expected to handle all the chores, prioritize my husband and his parents, and spend the New Year's holiday at their house. Their way of thinking seemed so outdated. I started dreading visits to my husband's family. When our first New Year's holiday after marriage approached, Malcolm announced, "We're expected to return to my parents' house for the holiday." What? When will I get to visit my family? It might be tough this time. We can revisit the plan after the new year. What do you mean? We promised to split our visits equally, didn't we? I was furious at Malcolm's dismissiveness. He responded with irritation. It can't be helped now. No use in arguing about it. His indifference was infuriating. We had agreed to visit both families regularly, and we had rented an apartment between our parents' homes to facilitate this. Yet, we had visited his parents 6 times and only my family once. Now, Malcolm wanted us to stay at his parents' house from the end of work until work resumed. I couldn't accept such an unreasonable plan and demanded, "I want to visit my family before work starts again." When Malcolm suggested I speak to my mother-in-law, I called her. The first thing she said was, "Abby, you're in charge of the special New Year's dinner." "Okay, but I will definitely visit my family before work starts, so please prepare for that." Her response was immediate and harsh. "Prioritizing your own family? You lack the awareness of a daughter-in-law." She lectured me for an hour over the phone, leaving me utterly drained. When I shared my frustration with Malcolm, he casually replied, "Mom just wants you to be a good wife. She says she wants you to be someone who fits into our family." His indifferent attitude only added to my frustration. In the end, we spent the entire New Year's holiday at my in-laws' house. "It's your first New Year as a married couple, so you should prioritize them," my mother said. Reluctantly, I complied. During our stay, I worked tirelessly, preparing meals, cleaning the house, doing laundry, and taking out the trash. I ended up handling everything on my own. Whenever I asked my husband for help, he would scold me. "Abby, this is your responsibility as a wife. Malcolm works hard, so it's only right that he rests during the New Year's holiday. You're being inconsiderate." "I work full-time too, you know," I retorted silently. "Because of you, I haven't had a chance to rest at all during the holidays." Despite my frustration, I didn't want to start the year off with a fight. It was our first New Year as a married couple, so I gritted my teeth and endured the holiday at my in-laws' house. I hadn't seen my family since the year began. Malcolm casually said, "I'm tired, I'll stay home," leaving me to visit my family alone. That was probably when I started losing trust in him. I had plenty of grievances with my mother-in-law and the rest of his family, but more than that, I was fed up with Malcolm's dismissive attitude whenever I tried to discuss things with him. Even after the new year, my mother-in-law's harassment continued. When I refused to visit her home, she began calling me every day. By the time I woke up, there would be about 10 missed calls. Concerned, I'd call back only to be met with her yelling, "So, you finally woke up. You're failing in your duties as a wife. You should be up at 5 a.m. every day making a nutritious meal for Malcolm. Even if I get home late from work, I hear you're not managing your responsibilities properly. Malcolm says it's unacceptable for a wife to stay out late. A wife who doesn't come home before her husband is the worst. Prioritize your home, you heartless girl. Actually, I earn more than your son and contribute more to our living expenses," I nearly said many times, but I kept it to myself and just brushed off her comments with a, yeah, Gradually, I stopped answering her calls and deleted her voicemails without listening to them. This continued for about a year, until the dreaded season came around again. As expected, Malcolm was relentless, insisting, "Mom says you should come home for the New Year's holiday." This time, I firmly told him, "I'm not going this year. I can't take it anymore. I'm not a housekeeper." Malcolm, annoyed by my decision, grumbled, "Abby, don't upset my mom. You married me, so you need to be considerate of my family." Excuse me, you never even bother to properly engage with my family. I've been working hard to build a good relationship with your mother, and that's why my mom is always upset, right? You need to put in more effort. Put in more effort, as if I'm the only one at fault here. My anger boiled over as my husband delivered his final blow. "Let me be clear, Abby, Mom's angry because you're a failure. Do you understand that?" At that moment, the dam I had barely been holding back broke. "A failure? It's my fault. I've been putting his family first for his sake and putting up with everything." I took a deep breath and looked him straight in the eye. "I'm cutting ties with your family. I will never see your father and mother again." My husband looked momentarily shocked, but it quickly became clear that further argument would be pointless. Surprisingly, he conceded, all right, I get it. I'll go home alone for the holidays." Our relationship grew strained after that. We spoke less at home, but honestly, I didn't care. For the first time in a while, I was able to spend New Year's with my own family, and that made me incredibly happy. When I arrived at my parents' house, my mom looked at me with concern. "Abby, is everything okay with Malcolm's family? I'm worried." "I'm fine, Mom. I made it clear to Malcolm that I won't be involved with them anymore." "I see. I hope everything will be alright." My mom still seemed uneasy, concerned in her own way about my relationship with my in-laws. After enjoying my time at home and leaving the housework to Mom, I was relaxing when the doorbell rang. "Coming," I called out as I went to answer, only to find Malcolm standing there, looking exhausted. What?" I was taken aback. I invited him in, but he remained silent, losing patience. I demanded an explanation. "What's going on? Weren't you supposed to be going to your parents' house today, Malcolm?" Slowly, Malcolm began to speak. "Mom said to bring Abby." Again, how relentless can my mother-in-law be? Despite my outrage, I stood firm. "Didn't I make it clear that I'm not going to your parents' house anymore? When I said I was cutting ties, you agreed, right?" "Yeah, but Mom's furious. She thinks it's unacceptable for a daughter-in-law not to visit her in-laws." "I don't care. I can't handle your mother's harassment anymore, and I'm fed up with your father's indifference too. I don't plan to see them ever again." Malcolm pleaded. "That's a problem. Like Mom said, Abby, you married into this family. Please consider my position." "Your position? Are you kidding me? What era are you living in?" I vented my frustration. "Enough is enough. I didn't marry to become your parents' housekeeper. I'm done with in-laws who harass me and a husband who doesn't stand up for me." I had never spoken so forcefully before. My husband flinched, but it felt insufficient compared to the humiliation I had endured. "If you continue to side with your mother, I'll divorce you." "Divorce? You can't be serious." "I am serious. Being mistreated just because I'm your wife, living with a husband who won't support me and always follows his mother's demands, I'd be far happier alone." When he realized I was serious about the divorce, his face went pale. Just then, his phone rang, and I saw the name on the screen, his mother. "Hello," my husband answered in a strained voice. Even from where I stood, I could hear his mother's loud, demanding voice on the other end. Frustrated by my husband's hesitation, I grabbed the phone from him. "Hello, mother-in-law. This is Abby. No matter how much you try to manipulate my husband, I won't be coming over anymore." "What? You're my daughter-in-law, aren't you?" "I won't accept that," she replied sharply. But I countered with equal force. "Daughter-in-law, this is the 21st century. It's not the Stone Age. I don't need to be treated like a servant who only shows up on special occasions." "Absolutely not. If Malcolm wants to visit, that's fine, but I won't be going there under any circumstances. If you have more to say, I'll go through with the divorce." "Divorce? Are you trying to embarrass Malcolm? Fine, let's get divorced and remarry under my surname. How's that?" "That's absurd. I won't agree to that. Do whatever you want. Regardless of what you say, I have no intention of dealing with you anymore. Goodbye. I hung up decisively and turned to my husband. Here's the deal. If you continue to side with your mother, we'll get a divorce. But if you understand my perspective and treat me as an equal, I'm willing to move forward. I understand. I choose you, Abby. My husband bowed his head for a moment but ultimately decided to work on our relationship. Since then, I stopped visiting my in-laws, and my mother-in-law ceased her attempts to contact us. Reflecting on his past behavior, my husband now regularly visits my parents. They, in turn, treat him with great affection, as if he were their own son. We know we'll face challenges ahead, but I'm committed to working through them with the husband who chose to stand by me. I couldn't shake the worry after seeing the news. The plane my husband was on, bound for an overseas business trip, had crashed. I tried calling him, but the call wouldn't go through. My heart raced, desperate for a response. Then, a casual message popped up from him. Just arrived. Relief flooded over me, but it was fleeting. The news update on the screen claimed there were no survivors. What? How could this be? Wasn't the plane supposed to be safe? My name is Ella. I've been married to my husband, Caden, for 5 years, and we have a daughter, Mila, who will soon turn 3. I left my job when I got pregnant, and now I'm a stay-at-home mom. Mila's terrible twos have passed, and lately, she's been more helpful around the house. Those challenging days are behind us, and now I'm happily raising her with much less stress. While my bond with Mila grew stronger, Caden and I drifted into a routine of indifference. Recently, he seemed consumed by work, only coming home to sleep. Sometimes, he would return with the scent of women's perfume on him, probably from entertaining clients at clubs. He was working long hours, including weekends, leaving little time for Mila. Papa, don't you like me anymore? Mila asked, her voice tinged with sadness as I hugged her close, gently stroking her hair. Of course not, sweetheart. Papa's just very busy with work. He's doing all this so we can live comfortably. He promised to be here for your birthday on Sunday, and we'll celebrate together. We'll have so much fun. Mila's loneliness was heartbreaking, so I pleaded with Caden to be there for her birthday. I'll definitely take the day off, he reassured me, and I started looking forward to celebrating as a family. Mila's birthday is next month. We plan to invite my in-laws and have a big celebration. They live just a 15-minute drive away, and since we see them often, Mila is very attached to them. Caden has a younger sister, Camilla, who has 2 children. Although she lives in the same city, my in-laws treat both their grandchildren equally, without favoritism. I know some families prefer their daughter's children over their daughter-in-laws, especially when the grandchild is a girl. Some even pressure the mother to have a son to carry on the family name. That's why I'm so grateful to my in-laws, who love Mila unconditionally. One day, Caden informed me, I have a business trip abroad for 2 weeks starting on the 8th of next month. My heart sank. Wait, a business trip from the 8th? For 2 weeks? Yes, to America. The flight alone will take more than half a day. I stared at him, unable to hold back my frustration. You do remember Mila's birthday is on the 10th, right? We promised to celebrate together. I told her that today. She was already feeling sad, wondering if you don't care about her anymore. How could you break your promise to our daughter on her birthday? Just thinking about how this will affect her tears me apart. My anger surged, hot and intense. I don't have a choice. It's work. If I could, I'd love to celebrate with you. Caden's words struck me as I saw the regret in his eyes. I quickly apologized, realizing how upset I must have seemed. You're right. I'm sorry. I just got a bit emotional. I feel so bad for Mila. Caden gently patted my shoulder. I'll make it up to her. Tell me what Mila would like as a present. My parents will be there, so she won't be alone. And I promise we'll all celebrate together next year, okay? I smiled weakly, emphasizing, you better. Reluctantly, I decided to let it go this time. Even though I was worried about Mila, I resolved to do my best to decorate and cook so she wouldn't feel Caden's absence too deeply. I spoke with my in-laws about Caden's business trip and asked if they could stay over for Mila's birthday. A business trip on Mila's birthday? Don't worry, we've got it covered. Your father-in-law has already started making arrangements to stay over. My mother-in-law reassured me, lifting my spirits. If this could bring even a little happiness to Mila. The next day, I broke the news about Caden's overseas trip to my daughter. As expected, Mila's eyes welled up with tears, her face a mask of sadness. But guess what? Grandpa and Grandma are staying over for your birthday, I said, trying to inject some cheer into my voice. To my relief, Mila's face brightened a bit. The day after Caden left, my mother-in-law called. Ella, do you need anything for tomorrow? We've got a present ready and reserved a cake, but is there anything else you'd like? It must be tough handling everything on your own. If you need help, just say the word. We'll come over early tomorrow. I was touched by her thoughtfulness and quickly thanked her. Thank you, really. We've just done the shopping and picked out what Mila wanted. We're all set with the decorations too. Thank you so much for the present and cake. No problem at all. We had fun choosing them. Your father-in-law has been buzzing with excitement for a week now. I had to remind him not to get too ahead of himself. She chuckled, and I couldn't help but smile. I was so grateful to have such kind in-laws. Even without Caden, I was confident that tomorrow would still be a joyful day. After we chatted for a bit longer, my mother-in-law shifted the conversation. By the way, has Caden arrived yet? He mentioned he'd be flying out again after landing, right? Yes, he said he'd be taking a smaller plane after he arrived. He should be there by now, but I haven't heard from him yet. Maybe there was a delay. I glanced at the flight number he'd given me, planning to check on it after our call. Ella, was Caden's trip to America? My mother-in-law's voice suddenly trembled, sending a shiver down my spine. Yes, why? Turn on the TV right now. They're reporting a plane crash in America. What? I rushed to turn on the TV, just in time to catch the emergency news coverage of a crash. The phone slipped from my hand as my mother-in-law's screams echoed through the line. I quickly picked it up again. Ella, stay calm. It's not certain that it's Caden's plane. You're right, but even as I said the words, a wave of dread washed over me. What if it was his flight? The news anchor's words struck me like a bolt of lightning. They mentioned the same aircraft Caden had been on. Mother-in-law, it's Caden's plane. What do we do? Overwhelmed by the devastating reality, I collapsed to the floor, tears streaming uncontrollably as fear consumed me. Ella, my mother-in-law's voice jolted me back to reality. Ella, stay strong. We don't know anything for sure about Caden yet. Call him first. I'm coming over right now, so try to stay calm. Okay? Yes, I replied, though my voice shook with fear. As soon as I hung up, I dialed Caden's number, my heart pounding, but all I got was the hollow sound of the ringing. No, this can't be happening. Why isn't he answering? In a panic, I sent him a text. Are you okay? I gripped my phone tightly, my eyes glued to the screen. Then, almost like a miracle, a message popped up. Just arrived. Relief flooded through me, and I burst into tears. Thank goodness, thank goodness. But as I was about to respond, the words on the TV caught my ear. Furthermore, there are no survivors. My heart stopped. No survivors? What are they saying? This was supposed to be the same flight Caden was on. My hands trembled as I tried to call him again, but the call wouldn't connect. Why aren't you answering? I whispered, dread settling over me like a dark cloud. When I switched to texting, Caden responded, I just arrived at the airport and need to pick up my luggage and stuff. His nonchalant tone only deepened my anxiety and frustration. The news reported a plane crash. I was terrified. Please, at least answer the phone or video call me. Crash? I'm fine. I'll call you later. I have to move now. Caden's reply was cold and dismissive. Despite my repeated attempts to reach him, he didn't respond. I was relieved to know he was safe, but my unease was only heightened by a call from my mother-in-law. I tried contacting Caden's company before coming over. They said he's on a long-term vacation. A business trip abroad? Is that what they said? My mother-in-law's words hit me like a punch to the gut. It dawned on me, Caden's so-called business trip to America was a lie from the start. Had I ever felt such bitterness toward him before? Determined, I decided to share everything with my mother-in-law, his frequent absences, lack of interest in family, and now, the unsettling perfume on his clothes. I had avoided jumping to conclusions about the perfume, but the lie about the business trip made it impossible to ignore the possibility of infidelity. My mother-in-law's anger was palpable. That fool, we were so naive to worry about him. Ella, come stay with us. It must be tough for you and Mila alone. I accepted her offer. Once I moved in, my in-laws apologized profusely. Even my sister-in-law came over to offer support and comfort. I felt their kindness deeply, and despite their support, I couldn't shake the question, why, Caden? Soon after, I hired a private detective to gather evidence of his infidelity. The detective sent me a photo of Caden at the airport with his affair partner. The betrayal was undeniable. 2 weeks later, Caden called me. Hello, where are you? I just got back from my business trip and can't get into the house. Can you come unlock the door? His voice was indifferent, as if nothing had happened. I was ready to confront him with the harsh reality of his deceit. Even if I came over, I wouldn't be able to open the door. I don't have the key, and even if I did, the old key would have been replaced. What? Replaced? What are you talking about? Is this really Ella? I could hear Caden's frustration rising through the phone. I've moved out. I can't stay with someone who cheats and goes on a deceitful trip on our daughter's birthday. What are you saying? Caden's attempt to play innocent only fueled my anger. I know everything. I know you took a long-term vacation and went to Europe, not America. Calm down, Ella. There must be a misunderstanding. Maybe you're confusing me with Mr. Cruz, who took a long-term vacation. Do you? Don't try to fool me. You've been cheating while claiming you were working overtime and on weekends. I couldn't keep my voice down. My frustration boiled over, but I stuck to the facts. I'm divorcing you, and I'll make sure you pay alimony and child support. Caden's response was desperate. Wait, please. What? I demanded. I'm sorry, I did cheat, but it was just for fun. The one I truly love is you, Ella. I was disgusted. His words were fading into meaningless excuses. I needed to say more. Nice try, but I can't believe someone who prioritized a cheating trip over our daughter's birthday. Do you really think saying it was just for fun will make everything okay? Stop it. I will never forgive you or your affair partner. Caden snapped back with irritation, completely abandoning his previous tone. I'm the only one apologizing here, and you're acting so superior. Do you think you have anything to thank for the life you have now? You'd be the one struggling if we divorced. Don't make a fuss over cheating. You're fixated on the birthday. How important can a birthday be? At that moment, my sister-in-law Camilla grabbed the phone from me. Ella doesn't need to be with someone who can't even value their own daughter's birthday. What? Camilla, why are you with Ella? Caden sounded taken aback by my sister-in-law's sudden intervention, but that was only the beginning. I'm here too. What, Mom? And Dad's here as well, I continued. We knew you wouldn't come home. We expected you to call, so we all waited together. Your brother-in-law is looking after Mila. My father-in-law's voice rang out. You're no longer our son. Don't ever come back to this house. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law added their voices to the chorus. Your belongings are stored in our shed. If you want them, come by tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll throw everything away. Big brother, what you did to Ella is disgusting. The worst. Don't ever associate with us again. Wait, everyone, I was wrong. It was just a moment of weakness. I'm sorry, please don't say these things, Caden pleaded, his voice trembling, on the verge of tears as he desperately tried to hold on to something, but no one was willing to forgive him. I shouted, it's unacceptable to be cheated on under the guise of a moment of weakness. You've been cheating for a long time, and you're still lying. How much longer do you plan to mock us? Enough. If you don't agree to the divorce, I'll take you to court. Panicked, Caden agreed to the divorce, pleading, please, no court. The next day, Caden showed up at my in-laws' house, bowing low at the entrance, but the family only gave him cold, unforgiving stares. Unable to endure the rejection, he left with only a few of his belongings. Afterward, I filed a claim for damages against both him and his affair partner. Once the affair became public and damages were sought, his affair partner immediately ended their relationship. I've ended things with him, so please forgive me, she pleaded, but I was resolute about pursuing the damages. As a result, she accumulated significant debt and reportedly began working in the night industry to make ends meet. Once the affair became public at the company, my husband couldn't handle the judgment and chose to resign voluntarily. Despite this, he still needs money for damages and child support. I've heard he's now working long hours from morning till night, with no time for himself. As for me, I'm still living with my in-laws, who continue to treat Mila and me with the same kindness as before. I'm committed to finding a way to repay their generosity in the future. You're not getting any of tonight's pot roast. Here, take this instead. But this is leftover soup and salad from 2 days ago. It's probably gone bad, but you'll manage, right? Don't waste it, eat up. I wouldn't want to waste good meat on you. I can't eat this. What was that? Leftovers suit you just fine. Quit complaining and eat up. My mother-in-law always treats me with such hostility. It's infuriating and really gets under my skin. I'm Mary, 27 years old, balancing work and home life. I got married just a year ago, and we don't have any kids yet. Right now, we're living with my husband's family in their home. I never wanted to live with my in-laws, but since my husband is the eldest son, we didn't have much of a choice. It seemed absurd to me to live with them in this day and age, but both my husband and mother-in-law cling to old-fashioned values. My father-in-law passed away, and my husband felt obligated to look after his mother. I have no idea why he's so concerned. She's still full of life. My brother-in-law is single and working overseas, so I guess this is just how it has to be, but I can't stand it. Even worse, my husband has started to mimic his mother's behavior, being mean to me just like she is. Before we got married, he was never like this, but his attitude has changed drastically. I feel betrayed. He constantly acts superior and yells at me. It's giving me a headache. Hey, why is my shirt so wrinkled? Huh, is it wrinkled? Yes. How am I supposed to go to work like this? Can't you even iron properly? How hard can it be? I did iron it. Your idea of proper is far from it. You're such a useless wife. That's so hurtful. You don't have to say it like that. Are you talking back to me? Your face is as wrinkled as this shirt. It's annoying. You look older than you are, and it's a real turnoff. Oh, really? Before we got married, he used to call me adorable and treated me like a princess. Now, he insults my parents and laughs about it. I don't understand how he could say such things. I'm not wrinkled or anything. Sometimes, I can't help but notice that he's balding, and I catch myself wishing he'd go completely bald one day. Our marriage is still new, but I'm already worried about the future. The word divorce even crosses my mind at times. I'm exhausted every day. After finishing the housework once I get home from work, I feel like I'm about to collapse. But my mother-in-law never helps with the chores. She spends her whole day glued to the TV. There are crumbs from snacks all over the floor in front of the TV, a lot of them. I have to clean them up, and I wish she would at least use a plate. One evening after dinner, my mother-in-law suddenly spoke up. Hey, why don't we all go to a spa resort when the new year comes? That sounds wonderful. Great, I'll make the reservation. I'll get on it first thing tomorrow. Thanks, Mom. My husband and mother-in-law seemed genuinely excited about the idea. I wasn't exactly thrilled about spending time with them, but the thought of visiting the spa resort intrigued me. I love spa resorts, and this one had recently been featured on TV, gaining quite a bit of fame. I figured if I could just tune out their annoying behavior, it might actually be a memorable trip. Deep down, I was looking forward to it. Later, my mother-in-law mentioned she had something to discuss, so I headed to the living room, curious about what it could be. You know, our car is pretty small, right? I was thinking we could borrow your family's minivan for the trip. It would be perfect for carrying all our luggage. Sure, I guess that's fine. My father owns both a minivan and a small car. He usually uses the small car for commuting and the minivan for shopping trips or camping, which is his hobby. When I called him, he was more than happy to lend us the minivan. With that settled, we prepared for the end-of-year vacation. I was swamped with house cleaning, making it an incredibly busy time, but the thought of relaxing at a spa resort kept me going. As usual, my mother-in-law barely moved from the sofa. She spent the entire time lying there like a statue. On the morning of New Year's Day, I woke up, excited about our trip to the spa resort, but when I looked at the alarm clock, I was shocked. What? It's already 8:30, but where's David? Why isn't he here? My husband, who should have been lying next to me, was nowhere to be found. I thought he might be in the bathroom, but he wasn't there either. Huh, where is everyone? Did they leave without me? I checked my mother-in-law's bedroom, but it was empty too. Panic started to set in as I wondered if they had gone without me. I rushed to the living room to grab my phone, which I always charged there overnight. There was a text message from my mother-in-law. We're off to have a great time. We never booked a place for you. Enjoy your lonely new year. It's fine if the bride stays home. It hit me that my mother-in-law never intended to include me in the trip. She planned to enjoy it with my husband, leaving me behind. I felt a deep sadness mixed with intense anger. It was cruel of them to sabotage my alarm so I'd oversleep, and I realized that the reason she had pushed so much alcohol on me the night before was likely to make sure I'd pass out. I regretted drinking that much, though I was somewhat relieved that she didn't drug me. Her manipulative behavior made my blood boil. But there was nothing I could do about it now, so I decided to make the best of my time alone at home. I wanted to go back to my parents, but they were on a trip of their own, far away. With no other option, I ordered a pizza for delivery and spent a lonely day by myself. When my mother-in-law and husband returned from their trip, they were all smiles. It was amazing. We had the best time. I definitely want to go back, of course. Without you, Mary. Here, this is your souvenir. What is it? It's just a stone I found lying around. It suits you perfectly. Oh, I see. I couldn't believe how spiteful my mother-in-law was. Feeling frustrated, I decided to return the minivan to my parents' house. I figured they would be back from their trip by now. When I arrived, my father came out to greet me. Did you enjoy the spa resort? That place is supposed to be amazing. I didn't go. I was left behind because I'm the bride. What? My mother-in-law told me it was fine if I didn't come. I explained how I woke up that morning to find everyone gone, leaving me behind. What? My father's expression darkened as he processed what I'd told him. Without saying much, he guided me to the passenger seat of the minivan and began driving. I realized we were heading back to my in-laws' house. I glanced at my father's face. He looked angrier than I'd ever seen him. My usually calm and composed father was fuming, and it caught me off guard. When we arrived, my father stormed into my in-laws' house, holding something in his hand. My mother-in-law emerged, clearly surprised by our sudden arrival. Oh, hello, and Happy New Year. Thanks for letting us borrow the minivan. Happy New Year, but let's get straight to it. You left our daughter behind, didn't you? No. Mary said she wasn't feeling well, had a fever, and couldn't go. We had to leave her behind reluctantly. I even offered to stay and take care of her. My mother-in-law was lying with a smirk, completely unfazed. She hadn't said anything like that, and I wasn't even remotely sick. I couldn't believe how easily she could fabricate such an obvious lie. I started to wonder if there was something seriously wrong with her. Oh, really? That's strange because our daughter said you left her behind on purpose. She even showed us a text message from you saying, "It's fine if the bride doesn't come." Did I say that? I don't recall. Yes, you did. Here, take a look. I pulled out my phone and showed her the text messages. Despite the evidence, she continued to insist she was innocent. Her sheer audacity left me speechless. It was almost impressive how shameless she was. You're still denying it. You really are a sad person. By the way, can I charge you for the interior cleaning of the car? What? Why? Because you dirted it, with a married man. No less. What a disgusting and vile act. What are you talking about? This, right here, caught by this dual camera. My father revealed the dash cam he had been holding. It was a dual camera, capable of recording both the exterior and interior of the car. The inside recording feature is often used to prove safe driving, but it also captured other activities my mother-in-law probably had no idea were being recorded. She likely didn't even realize it was a dual camera, given her lack of knowledge about cars. But what on earth was she doing with a married man in our family car? My father played back the footage, and I regretted watching it immediately. The images showed my mother-in-law in an indecent position with an unfamiliar man. Even though my father-in-law had passed away, it was shocking to see her engaged in something so disgraceful, especially with a married man, and in our family's car, no less. This was recorded on the exact day you borrowed the car. How revolting. Wait, this doesn't prove anything. We weren't doing anything inappropriate. It's not what it looks like. My mother-in-law was in a full-blown panic, fumbling over her words and on the verge of tears. I could see she was close to breaking down. and I couldn't help but feel a dark satisfaction. After everything she had put me through, I felt she deserved every bit of this humiliation. Any sympathy I might have had for her had long since dried up, as she started to spew out a series of pathetic excuses. It was clear she was flustered, grasping at straws to defend herself. Then, my father calmly pulled another item from his pocket, a photograph. It showed my mother-in-law and the man from the video, caught in a compromising position. In broad daylight, the background suggested it was in a secluded area, but the fact that they did this during the day was still shocking. You wouldn't have seen this if you hadn't been so cruel to my dear Mary. Why do you have that picture? Because I'm a detective, remember? Oh, does it ring a bell now? I've mentioned this before. My father's a detective, which is why he had that photograph. Coincidentally, the wife of the man in that picture had hired him to investigate her husband's affair. Imagine my surprise when I found out you were the other woman. I was planning to inform her next week, but it seems you've forced my hand. No. I'm innocent. I was forced into this. I'm not to blame. Please don't tell his wife. Against your will, was it? You seem to be enjoying yourself. We also have video footage of you whispering sweet nothings to the man. Care to watch it? I'm sorry. My mother-in-law collapsed to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. I watched her pitiful display with a cold glare. Just then, my husband walked in, sensing something was wrong. I had run out of patience with him as well, and without hesitation, I proposed a divorce. I've had enough. I want out. Let's get divorced. What? Are you serious? Yes, I'll lose my mind if I stay in this miserable family any longer. I'm leaving. Wait, what about our living expenses if you leave? Huh? I lost my job a while ago. My husband dropped a bombshell. He had been fired at the end of the year, something he hadn't bothered to tell me. Despite knowing he was unemployed, he had still gone on the spa trip without a care in the world. I couldn't believe how irresponsible he was. I knew then that divorce was my only option. I slipped off my wedding ring and placed it on the table. My husband desperately tried to stop me, but I had made up my mind. Wait, can't you forgive me for not taking you on the spa resort trip? It's not just about the trip. I'm done with you and your mother. If you're so desperate to stay with her, then go ahead, you mama's boy. Please, don't go. I didn't hesitate. I got a lawyer and moved forward with the divorce. My ex-husband is now struggling to manage his living expenses without me. I thought he should find a new job quickly, but considering he was fired from his last job for theft, it's unlikely he'll find work anytime soon. His previous company let him go because they caught him stealing, deciding they couldn't trust him anymore. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law wasn't spared either. The wife of her lover demanded compensation for the affair, and she ended up spending all the money my late father-in-law had left behind to settle the payment. I haven't seen either of them since, but I imagine their lives are far from easy now. Not that it matters to me anymore. These days, I'm living on my own and thoroughly enjoying my work. I'm grateful I didn't have children with my ex-husband. I can't imagine the complications that would have brought. My life is peaceful now, and if love finds me again, I'll be more careful with my choices. That's my plan, to make sure I choose wisely this time around.